Podcast. I'm your host, Billy Riddle. With me, as always, my trusty co-host, Simon. I know you're a little devastated. Elton John just announced the end of his farewell tour, and he'll no longer be playing in the United States. Probably kills you. You might have to make a trip back overseas if he comes out with another farewell tour, as they often do.
Yeah, don't write that one off.
No, not quite yet.
No, come on, man. You know, they love the crowd. They can't help it. Yeah, it's an addiction.
I think so.
But, I mean, you know, what a great talent. And it's a shame if you didn't get to see him live. You know, that may have been your last opportunity.
Well, he's not going to play in America anymore because of our politics and our divisiveness. And,
good God. It's going to be politics in sports, politics in music. Shut the hell up and get on with what you're good at.
Well, we're awfully mean to gay people in this country. We only give them an entire month, and that's not quite enough for Elton John. Now, I understand his shows in Egypt and Dubai have quite a different outlook on the Gay Pride Month, and to whereas they don't celebrate it at all. But he has no problems going there and performing. So, it's just
the usual hypocrisy.
Yeah, it's just one of those. I can't. These people have done more for my mental health by turning me off from anything they have to say or do than that anybody ever possibly could. Like, I hear this stuff. I'm like, I have no desire whatsoever to give you any of my attention, time, or money, or listen to your stuff ever again, just because you couldn't shut up. There's plenty of people out there, I bet, have politics I can't stand. You know what? They don't talk about it. So they don't ostracize so
they don't abuse their platform.
No, it's been great for me because I don't consume this nonsense anymore.
Hey, you've just come on mic, Billy. I mean, and you're on fire, man.
Well, for a couple of reasons. One, we got one hell of a show today. Today is a day that honestly, there are a handful of people when I started this show that I always had in mind. And as the legacy of this show has grown and we've had bigger and bigger and bigger, it's still one I've always wanted to have because I think there's such an interesting story here. And
not just one.
Yeah, plenty. And not to mention that we have quite a reputation of getting people's panties in a bunch. I don't think there might be a person in Franklin County who hasn't gotten more panties in a bunch over the years than the man we're sitting here with today, which I think is a phenomenal thing. There's a lot of wisdom right here. So today we're going to get to some other things first. We'll go ahead and introduce him because I'm excited about this. We are here in Trumptown, USA at the Trump store in Boones Mill, sitting here with the one and only Whitey Taylor. Whitey, we certainly appreciate you giving us some of your time here.
Man, what a great build-up. I love it. Keep it up.
Oh, I mean,
he's a professional.
Yeah, I know. He is.
We've been doing this for quite some time now, and I've kind of gotten accustomed to it a little bit and practiced. One thing I don't go back and ever listen to the shows anymore. I used to do it all the time. For some reason, I don't know why I don't. I guess I got to the point where I'm tired of hearing myself. But maybe I think if I go for a while and don't listen to them, when I go back and listen to them, they'll intrigue me again, and I'll forgotten what we've talked about. But this one I think I'll probably end up listening to pretty quickly after.
Yeah, I drop so many clangers. I've got to keep a very close eye on what I let slip.
I like to practice, some of the things, trying not to repeat myself and say certain words over and over again. Try to be hints more professional from what's coming out, the output right here, because everything else is not professional at all. And I think that quality is going down. Signs from our last show up at the 4th of July. Very unprofessional show. Probably the second most unprofessional show we've ever conducted. The first being the first time we tried to have Caleb on.
Yeah.
And
now, that was not of our doing.
No, but I'm kind of glad it just went off the rails. I don't think I could have sat there much longer myself. But this past one, the last one was a lot of fun because at least we got 30 minutes of Caleb before he just got, I don't know if you know who Caleb Flory is. He's up there in Callaway, so you probably come across him a bunch of times. Yeah. Van's kid. So we got 30 minutes, and then we try to do the rest of the show after the shindig. And you, myself, Amos, and Joel did a pretty good job of carrying on a pretty good conversation. But the only thing we got out of Caleb in that last hour and a half was the thump of him hitting the ground.
Fell off his chair mid-show, mid-sentence. Funny as hell. Classic Caleb. It was classic.
That's great. That's great.
Before we jump into everything here, is one thing I want to start the show off with this, because I know a lot of things we've been talking about here lately, and a lot of local people are going to be tuning into this. So just real quick for about 5 minutes, and Whitey, I'm sure you've never had the government come in and stick the boot on you in the least.
Right.
But yesterday there was announced there's going to be a new hotel coming to town. And my first reaction is, why in the hell do we need another hotel? 'Cause I'm sitting there thinking about it. The reason, and now the fine print says it is a public and private partnership. So that goes into questions right there.
You should be scared right now.
Exactly. So I'm sitting there thinking, well, why in the world, when they're basing it off the harvester in Smith Mountain Lake? Well, that's just ridiculous, because eye test tells you, number one, the harvester ain't doing shit. Doesn't have anybody coming in. They don't have the shows to produce. And then secondly, the lake, well, people at the lake are a different breed. They're not coming all the way to Rocky Mount to stay at a hotel. Most of them are going to go stay with people on the lake, rent a place on the lake. That's kind of the allure of it. You don't just... So, but you brought up a point, Simon, about the occupancy thing that kind of made me, okay.
I've heard, and it's nothing conclusive. I haven't been able to research it today. I've been otherwise engaged. But one of my first questions when I heard that they were going to zing another $2 million tax relief credit, however they're doing it, someone's got to pay for it. It ultimately always ends up being the taxpayer. And at $2 million, I thought, well, hang about, you've just dropped $5 million on 64 whatever acres. We've still got no disclosure about the landscaping and land prep estimates. So even before you even get going on that, there's been other. Then we've had the tax meal hike, which has made Rocky Mount, stand out, and being above radar. If I go to DQ just up here on the corner, that's going to be a cheaper meal for me than if I go into Rocky Mount. So, is that conducive to good business? Probably not. And we know some of the numbers that they're throwing around. But I did ask, and I said, listen, I've read the announcement, and the only question I had that would maybe put me off the bait a little bit and not get me so heated was, well, we've got 2 hotels, with a third one coming online, a genuine boutique hotel, by the way. This one is not a boutique hotel by any stretch of the imagination. But their occupancy, the 2 existing hotels that are in operation at the moment, have a lot of long-term guests, if you will, in there. So it skews the genuine occupancy when you cater to the longer-term guest. So to say that you've got an occupancy of 80%, and if that is the case, those hotels have got to be laughing their heads off. Good luck to them. But if it is 80%, then those figures absolutely support at least 1 or 2, along with the Morris Hotel coming online. So I kind of get it. The numbers, I think, would support this initially, but you've got to look into a little bit deeper than that, because it's going just on the 220 business off-ramp pretty much. And if you think you're going to get passing traffic downtown with that, you're not. It's opposite Ippies. They'll go to Ippies. There's the El Rio Mexican there.
El Rodeo.
Whichever one it is, whatever. And they're going to get back on and go wherever they're going. This is a transient attempt for getting business off 220. And I've got no problem with that. But here's the conflict that pisses me off, is you want to put $2 million of taxpayer money on the line for what really should be, if the numbers work, what really should be a private venture, whilst being very... It's so controversial about not having a ability to do short-term leases, VRBO, whatever it may be, Airbnb, and for some, it has to be a bizarre reason. Okay, it has to be a bizarre reason. The fact that Franklin County doesn't allow it, and the fact that Bedford County does, once again, you are sending taxpayer revenue to our immediate neighbour, Bedford, with, their short-term rentals, and they're laughing their asses off. Talk about humility. Good Lord. So why aren't we opening up VRBO business, around the lake or in the county? Because that is a revenue generator. That's what I want Board of Supervisors to do. I'm not interested in a moral decision as to what is right and wrong for me. You, and one of your sole responsibilities is about creating additional revenue to take the burden off the taxpayer. And quite frankly, what you're doing now is the absolute opposite.
Well, bringing in a corporation like the Hampton Inn, you're going to be sending money out of town, when if you open up Airbnb, that money's staying in town. You're getting people that are opening up their house, opening up their rooms, and you got a lot of stuff coming in and out of this town, here and there, that Airbnb would be great for. Even the hotel would have been great for some years ago. The thing that I'm, kind of puzzled about, if the other hotel's 80% occupancy, then yes, if it's justified, fine. But your justification was the Harvester, which we know isn't doing the business to garnish or another hotel. So, and number 2, the lake. But number 3, now this $2 million in tax rebates, this isn't, we didn't see this on the release or anything. This is just one of
never came out in any financial disclosures for this upcoming year.
This is our source on the town council who has made this clear to us. Reliable one. It's about $2 million in tax rebates that's going to be given. So I think that's a question we've been asking ourselves. There's going to be some FOIA requests. So, just pay attention to that. We quabble about, we have this and this in the town. And I know somebody's going to say, well, where was the tax incentives for somebody like Philip Bain or Brian?
Zero.
They, where was the help they got? And some people are going to say, well, it's a different administration, it's a different mayor. And to some degree, that is a little true. There are some new town council members, but what isn't? Is the town manager and assistant town manager, because they're holdovers from the other regime. So, start directing, some questions towards them. We got some FOIA requests in, and we'll get to the bottom of that. But I just thought that was very interesting.
And we're walking, I think, on a little bit on ground that I feel I'm not going to say uncomfortable, because you have to discuss this. This has to be brought out into the public domain. But at the moment, they're making so many questionable decisions that we are having to be the naysayers, and when is that going to stop? When are we going to be able to swing around and say, what, town council, board of supervisors, I think you've done a fantastic job, and you're on the mark. I just don't see that at the moment.
Not anytime soon.
No.
Well,
I'll be hated for that as well.
That's fine.
I don't care.
Speaking of being hated, I'm sure we're gonna go ahead and jump into our guest right here, and I don't mean that in a horrible way, but when you rep Donald Trump the way you rep him, I'm sure you probably get all kinds of hate. And it probably ain't nothing you ain't,
We get a lot of stupid liberals in here. Yeah. I have to pepper spray them, or I take care.
Oh man, yeah. I wonder.
No, it's fine.
Is there a job vacancy?
We had a last Saturday. I had a lady come in, and she was dressed immaculate. Okay, I mean to the T, beautiful woman. But she was talking something about what a great job Joe Biden had did, and I said, no.
No,
I said, can you read? And she said, she just kept talking, and I said, I jumped up out of my chair down there, and I said, can you read? And she said, where'd you go to college? I said, I didn't go to college. People who go to college are pretty stupid, most of them. And anyway, I said, you must have went. And she said, I'm a professor.
At Harvard. Let me guess.
Carolina.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And anyway, she said, I'm heading to a funeral. I said, if you don't like Trump, why would you stop here? You can tell everything about this place is Trump, okay? I said, come out here. I want you to read the sign. So she goes down the sidewalk. She reads the sign. And she said, so you're going to have me arrested, right? The sign says, if you don't like Trump, you're trespassing. I said, I can. But I said, no, I'm not going to have you arrested. Why don't you just get out of here? I said, hang on a minute. I know, I carry a gun all the time. I said, I know, and they're not scared of a gun. They're scared of a camera. People everywhere, I've been all over the country. If you grab your camera out, they don't want their picture taken. And so she didn't want her picture taken. She took off out through there. She had a BMW $125,000 car sitting over there, brand new. And anyway, I was taking her picture, and somehow she dropped her keys over on the other side, and she was reaching over there to get them. And when she did, I got up in the windshield, and I was taking her picture like this. She's furious, okay? And anyway, she finally got the keys, got the car started, and she took off spinning this away. Well, this is a dead end, okay? I was out there waiting on her when she came by. She hated me, man. But it was fun.
But where is that hate and venom from? Because I've never seen anything like it.
Well, they don't want the truth, and they don't like anybody doing anything that's right. Yeah, it's just they're They're absolutely crazy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a mental
You
issue.
can't talk to them. The ones that come in here, there's no talking. You have to take action with them. That's the only thing they understand. Now, I have pepper sprayed them out here, too. I don't do that no more inside the store because you have to clear the store out for 2 hours.
Oh.
I take them out in the parking lot. Yeah. It's more fun out there anyway.
You never know how many cameras are on them.
Right.
So how often do you get those people that come in here like that?
Oh, we get one probably every 2 weeks. Yeah.
Just comes in here for no other reason, just to want to start trouble.
Oh, yeah. They want to tell me what to do.
But what grounds do they think that they have any validity to do that? It's just like you're squaring off. You've come here with your opinions into something clearly you disapprove of, and you're putting yourself in jeopardy. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
You've lost your mind when you come in here, and quite frankly, you are entitled to defend yourself.
When Obama was in there, I detested that guy. I mean, I knew he was a piece of crap, and he still is. But anyway, I didn't go around trying to destroy their merchandise, or if somebody's wearing a hat, I just turned my head and went the other way. But these people think they have the right to tell me what to do,
And start ripping signs off your lawn and all that bullshit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No can do.
I always tell them, I said, that's not going to work out good for you.
Now, for some reason, people got this undeserved sense of
It's entitlement.
Yeah, it's like these people, they've never struggled a day in their life. And even to this day, they still don't struggle. They never struggled through Trump. In fact, most of these disinfected liberals, no, that's not the right word for them. That's the ones who turn it away. Yeah, for most of them, they thrived. CNN thrived. MSNBC, all these places, all these news outlets, they thrived when Trump was in office. That's why they want him back in the spotlight. They just don't want him in office. That's why they keep talking about him, is because he gets clicks. Because
he's easy to demonize.
Yeah, and they hate him, but they need him. It's just one of these.
Oh yeah,
it's one of these crazy things. It's
How weird is that?
It's such a complex thing to where they basically imprison themselves in their own mind for years and years. It's like getting high on your own supply, essentially. And that's what they do nonstop.
I mean, what mental damage have they done to themselves with this? Because I'm looking at them like, you're a bunch of freaks.
And for no other reason other than the TV told them to. Yeah. Because before he ever announced he was president, you saw rappers and celebrities and black people and white people and Oprah and all these people.
They embraced
him, loved him, said he's a good dude for the black community. He does this. He does it the second. No, the second he announces he's going to run, they still praise him, right? CNN, they still praise him. Why? Because they thought he had no chance in the world.
Right.
So the more airtime they gave him, the bigger his legacy became. And all of a sudden, he was a legitimate candidate and he was out of control. So now what do they got to do? If you go watch when he first announced, fluff pieces all the time. When he started inching in closer and closer to Hillary, he was the worst. And that's what gets me. I'm not a huge Trump fan, but I can sit back and I can recognize what is going on and say, this is complete and total bullshit. And everything you're saying, like, if I don't care for him, but you're making me defend him all the time because every single thing you've said about him or claimed about him has been an outright lie that has been confirmed by your own people. So
it's bizarre, isn't it? Because, all the hyperbole, rhetoric, all the, you're a bunch of conspiracy theorists. And we've said this time and time again. I just laugh on the other side of my face and just say, you know what? The majority of stuff that you've accused us of being conspiracy theorists. And when I say that's the royal we, by the way, we're right. I mean, the facts and everything is there. So at what point should I be coming back at you with the venom and the hatred about being a conspiracy theorist? Because the tables have been turned. And it's oh no, you can't call us conspiracy. We're educated. I am your intellectual superior. And I'm like, well, how did that happen? Oh, well, I went to Harvard. Mm-hmm. I'm very sorry about that, but how many tens of thousands of dollars did you waste for that piece of paper? I congratulate you on your stupidity.
Yep, because unless you're one of the chosen few up there that you always see getting political power, you're just another cog in the wheel at Harvard. You're just another mouthpiece.
What was the latest study that came out over the weekend where 40% of the students identified as LGBT, CAB, what the hell ever? But Brown, are you kidding me? 40%? You've got a mental health issue there. This isn't a sexual identity problem. You are absolutely off your nuts.
You are. They are. Yeah.
And I mean, we see, I guess the big thing over the weekend is the Sound of Freedom movie. Have you
Right.
seen that yet, or
I haven't
know
seen
much
it. My
about
family
it?
went.
It's knocking, is it Raiders?
Yeah.
Into the dust.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
and I mean, to watch the reaction, you get people like the Rolling Stones and New York Post and Washington Times saying that this is a QAnon fluff piece that invigorates far alt-right wing. It's like because you're bringing awareness to child trafficking. Like, what? Like, this should be the thing that we all agree on, that child trafficking is bad. This should be the thing. Like, it doesn't matter who produced the movie, it doesn't matter who directed it, doesn't matter who starred in the movie. This should be something that everybody gets behind.
How sick of an individual are you when you double down on that narrative? You've got to think about that a little bit now, because child molestation in my mind is possibly the most heinous crime you can do. And there's these folks doubling down saying, "Oh, this isn't the case. It's not child. We're not grooming. We're not doing this." The hell you are. You're guilty.
Sure they are.
And please come and do it on my patch. Come and behave like that on my patch.
Yeah, I mean, it's and you having the Trump store here, it's mind-boggling to think about these kind of people coming in here and bothering you. These kind of people. Well, and these are these lunatics. These are these lunatics. Like, I can sit down and have a conversation with a Democrat.
But that's a Democrat. These are progressives, right? So they're Marxists, they're socialists, they're communists.
I call them communists.
You're absolutely right. Most of them
But they are not Democrats.
No.
And let's be very clear about that. A Democrat, you can have...
A Democrat is what RFK Jr. is right now. Yeah. Like, I don't agree with a lot of his politics. I don't like his stance on gun previously. I don't like his stance on the environment, things like that. But at least he's calling out the COVID regime, which is, you know what I mean? And like, I'm not a Democrat or a Republican. I'm sitting there saying, okay, I'd like to hear more from this guy. I like to hear more from Vivek Ramaswamy or whatever his name is. Incredibly intelligent guy. Like, I've heard him on some podcasts.
Sure.
Great ideas, but to pretend that Joe Biden is competent and to pretend like he's got his shit together and have you ever seen anything like this in all your years?
It's never been nothing like this. Talking about true Democrats, John Kennedy was the last one. The rest of these people 100%. Are totally communist. Yeah. You can't have a conversation with them. I've never had one that you could sit down and say, well, let me listen to you and you listen to me. You can't do that. They won't do it.
No. And this agenda's been in play from the 60s onwards. And if not sooner.
Right.
But the 60s is when it raised its head, and I thought,
right.
If you look back on that,
and Kennedy took a bullet for his troubles.
Absolutely, he did, and they still won't admit it. I just like, really.
So, speaking of the political atmosphere, when did you get the idea? So, when did you get the idea for this store? When did it pop into your head?
See, actually, in February the 20th of 15, me and my son was down at the Daytona 500, and I told him, I said, get that Gideon's Bible. We're going to pray Jeremiah 33:3. It's the only place in the Bible God asks you to call him. It says, call unto me, I'll show you great and mighty things you did not know. It was raining one morning. We couldn't do anything. We were staying right across the street from the Daytona 500. And so we got it out. We read it. And he said, what do you think God's telling you? I said, the only thing he's telling me is it came up in my spirit. He wants me to help Donald Trump. And so he starts laughing, profusely, like making a fool out of me. So I just dropped it. So the next day he said, Dad, what do you really think God's telling you? I said, he's telling me to help Donald Trump, for sure. And he said, well, how are you going to help him? I said, well, the old girl's calling me from Pilot Mountain, wants to sell me T-shirts. I said, I'm gonna call her, and I'm going to order 1,000 T-shirts. And he said, 1,000, Dad, you know how crazy you get. Just get 100. I said, well, go big or go home, boy. I said, let me tell you something. If God's really telling me, and I think he is, we'll sell every one of them. If not, we'll throw them in the trash can and leave. We got money. And he said, all right, we'll try it. So I got the T-shirts, but when I went to pick the T-shirts up, the guy that owned the printing at Pilot Mountain, he comes to the back door, and he said, hey, big boy, he's looking at me. He said, I hope you can wear most of those. And I said, what? You're in the T-shirt business and you can't tell? I said, you sold me large and extra large. You can't tell I'm at least a 2X. And he said, oh, whatever. I said, hang on, don't you close the door. I said, we'll sell every shirt. and we left there. So we got the shirts, and my son said, Dad, when we going to go to a rally? We got the shirts. And I said, well, Trump's supposed to come to Radford at the Dedman Center on Thursday. I said, we'll go up there. He said, okay. So when we going to go? I said, we'll go 2 hours before. I thought at that time, if you was 2 hours before any rally, you're going to do good, okay? Little did I know, them guys are selling. They're there 2 days ahead of time, or some of them 2 weeks ahead of time selling. So we got up there. I pulled up behind this white SUV, and it had about 10 antennas on the back of it. And he said, Dad, who is that? All the TV trucks is in front of the white SUV. I said, I don't know, Secret Service, Chief of Police, somebody important. I have that many antennas on it. So I got out and popped the trunk lid, and he's standing beside the van, and he said, Dad, here they come. I said, I looked, 5 policemen coming down the sidewalk. They will make me move that van, okay? I was in a Honda van. And I said, don't you move. Stay right there. They come walking on down. I threw the first one that came in sight. I threw him an extra large. I said, hey, what other sizes y'all need? They said, buddy, if you don't mind, give us 2 more large, 2 more extra large. I said, okay. They said, just leave that van right there. We're going to be working right over here, and these 3 guys is up here. If you need anything today, you got it. Well, I just pitched my tables. I had 2 tables. That picture back there on the wall is from the first rally. A guy just brought that to me. I didn't even know there was any pictures. The one right over top of the ice cream, the Trump ice cream box.
That's it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But anyway, he brought me that picture. He said, that was your first rally, Whitey. And we sold all 1,000 shirts that day. We had 1,000 of them, okay?
Nice.
And some of the vendors came over and bought us out because we had the hottest shirt there. My shirt said, hire the vets, fire the idiots, Trump 2016 on the front. And on the back of it, it had, finally someone with balls, Donald J. Trump, okay? And they had never seen any of them shirts, okay? And they bought me out. Them guys just, let us buy you out, man.
Fantastic. I like it.
Yeah. So anyway.
Entrepreneurship at work right there.
Oh, yeah, yeah. My son come running back up there, and he said, Dad.
You should have bought 2,000. I told you to buy 2,000.
No. He had already sold 200 by that time, okay, in the line. But the rest of them been sold at the tables, okay, because I was right at the front door. Them guys that was selling, they was 2 football fields away. I could see them back over there. They came over and they said, how did you get in the front door? That's what we want to know. I said, you're not going to believe it, but I just drove up here. And here I am.
Oh, and then you were smart enough to give a couple of the cops a shirt.
Oh, no. Everywhere I went, all over the country, and I've been in 35 states, I take care of the police. If I see them walking up, talking to a guy at the table, I say, hey, come over here a minute. I said, what? Come here out. He talk to you. I said, what are you looking for? He said, a hat. I said, grab you one. How about your sergeant? Don't you want one for him too? Take one for the other boys out there. I was on DC Metro, and this old boy, I knew he was going to clip him up there, and he's selling his hats for $25. And so the policeman was standing over there, and I said, hey, come over here. He said, what you need? I said, come here, I need to talk to you. He comes over there. I said, what are you trying to buy? He said, a hat. I said, well, I've got a better selection than he does. Get one of these. So he got him a hat. I said, don't you have a sergeant? How about that guy that's been helping you back over? I seen you with another guy. He said, oh, yeah. He said, and that's your white van sitting there in that no parking, right? I said, yeah. He said, just move it every once in a while. Stay right there, but move it. Everywhere I went, I had favor with the police.
Which, I mean, it's because you're genuine and you just reach out to them and say, hey, here, smallest of gestures will go so far with people, especially now. And it doesn't, you know what I mean? I think that's why we've had so much success with this show is small gestures here and there, just our appreciation. Sure. We'll do this. We'll send somebody home with a bit of Franklin County bootleg or, you know what I mean? Yeah. You always do something for them to remember you by because you just never know what little thing is going to make somebody's day better.
And, I mean, think about the cops, right? Are they dealing with some of the most unpleasant characters this society has to deal with? So when they're a bit blunt and short with you, just remember probably the last 5 people they dealt with are tattooed crackheads.
Yeah.
All right? So, give them a break. They're doing a job. They're the difference between civility and true chaos.
Yeah.
And it is a very thin line. So I support the police 100%. Okay, it could always be better. I get it. I
don't support them 100%. I support the sheriff's deputies around here.
I do too.
Because I can, at least I know there's some accountability there, one way, shape, or form. But when it starts getting to, bigger cities and things, they're just a militarized force. They don't give a crap about you. In fact, if you were to go into their city and step off in the wrong neighborhood and start getting the crap beat out of you, they would probably arrest you instead of the criminals because it's easy just to drag you. And that's happened tons of times. You know what I mean?
Well, as soon as you militarize a police force and they're walking around in fatigues with M4s and full battle rattle and all of that good stuff, I mean, you know, I think you've lost the connection with the people, and that's your problem.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
So-
most of them are patrolling towns that they don't live in. You know, it's a whole lot easier to go into a neighborhood and crack some skulls when you don't have to go back there at night. But if you're around here and you go in and do something dirty, well, everybody knows where you live. Your neighbors are there. They're gonna, they're gonna say stuff.
Oh yeah.
And that's how it should be, rightfully so. So you went to the I forgot he even went to the Deadman Center. So he was up at Deadman Center. You sold out. After that, what was your thought process? You just
I told my son, I said, Trump's going to Utah. I said, we got to get down there.
Road trip.
Yeah. 26 hours from right here, okay?
Oh,
And my
dear
son,
Lord.
he's sitting over there playing some stupid game, boy. I'm doing all the driving, all right? We got the van loaded with T-shirts. We take off down there. We stay out west for a pretty good while. But I said, hey, I don't know if I can make it any farther, man. You're going to have to drive. He said, well, I'm going to have to sleep first. I said, man, I wanted to plow
That's
him right
them
upside
damn
the head.
Nintendos.
I
those
drove the whole 26 hours.
Xboxes.
We made the next rally, okay?
Yeah, my eyes are tired from playing on this Game Boy.
Oh,
I
yeah.
can't possibly drive. Come here. Can I just come a little bit closer?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right.
Whack.
so you made it all the way out to you. Like, how long after that was the Radford one? Was that pretty immediately afterwards?
That's probably the next week, yeah.
So how did you keep up with demand? Like did you keep going back to the person and pilot and saying, hey man, I need 1,000 more shirts.
No,
1,000.
we had him to ship them to us.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he was cranking them out just as fast as you could sell them,
Yeah.
and he would
Mhm.
overnight them and ship them to
Right.
you
Yeah.
wherever you were going.
Right.
So did you follow all the rallies around, or did you come back every now and then and resupply
No.
and then go back out? Or
No, we stayed out west for a long time.
really?
3 months maybe, yeah.
So just out there 3 months, following him around everywhere he went. Man, that must have been
But
a lot of fun.
He had a lot of stops, yeah.
So I've never been to a Trump rally. Now I've seen a lot of them on TV. I've seen a lot of the excitement. For anybody that's never been to one, what are they like?
Oh, it's just a big celebration. It's a party, no problems. You never have any problems. Everybody's like-minded. You know, when I went, I would just stand in line. I'd get a group of people. I'd go down through the line down there, and I'd tell them stories about where I'd been, what we'd been doing. I said, now, if you guys want me to move or leave, I said, you got to buy a shirt, okay? That's the only way I'll leave you, okay? They said, no, we're going to buy a shirt, and you're going to stay right here and tell us stories. We like it. Yeah. I had a ball doing that. It's the most fun that I've had. The track was a lot of fun, but this thing has just been different. Like, was really not a lot of controversy. Okay, we did have some protesters and whatnot, but they was always on the other side of the street over there.
Well, with the racetrack, everybody comes to you.
Oh yeah,
But this time, you got to go to everybody else. You got to see different parts of the country. You met different people, all across. Now out west, they get we always like to think out west is just nothing but commie and a bunch of, but there are a ton of great people in California and Oregon and Washington that their voices basically go unheard.
Well, yeah, and it's like when he hit New York, we stopped probably in 10 different cities: Buffalo, Syracuse, Rome, Poughkeepsie. We hit a lot of towns all the way up through New York. And now he would come in for a rally, and next week he'd be over in another town, and then he was somewhere else. This guy was doing 2 or 3 rallies a week somewhere, but we just keep traveling. And he keep going up. We go all the way up to Buffalo.
Did you ever get a chance to meet him?
3 times I talked to him.
Yeah.
Right on.
Is he
Well, first encounter I had with him, I was for Ted Cruz in the beginning, okay? And he came to Liberty University. My son was going to school there at the time, so I went down there, and he was on stage and he was talking, and he said, what kind of nut would give these Iranians $150 billion and not even get our hostages? And the kids didn't say nothing. Obama! He said, big man over in the cowboy hat, right over here. Look, white hat, right up here. He does everything twice. He said, you're right. And I said, man, this is going to be the guy right here.
Yeah, it's amazing how he encapsulated everybody. I
Right.
mean, it really is. And from somebody that I got a lot of entertainment from Trump.
Yeah.
I didn't vote for him. In the last election, I voted for Spike Cohen, one of our previous guests we've had on the show. I really like Spike a lot, like what he stands for. But, politics aside, the one thing I liked about Trump and the one reason that I don't come out here and swear up and down against him is if for nothing else, he inspired people to punch back, whether it was contrived, whether it's all part of some bigger plan we can't even grasp or fathom right now, is inconsequential. The bottom line is he inspired people to stop taking shit. And for nothing else, I got to give him credit for that, because there's a lot of people out there, like you said, you were Ted Cruz, and then, there's a lot of people out there that just want to be normal, want to be left the hell alone and not be bothered. And for years and years, they were told, despite how awesome the 90s were, and despite how we had moved past all this stuff, all of a sudden out of nowhere, 2008, not really sure what changed, but all of a sudden after that, now race became such a major part of the conversation. And it's like, well, what do you mean? Like, when I was growing up as a kid, half the kids in my school either had a Michael Jackson or a Michael Jordan poster up in their room. Don't tell me, Whitney Houston, Boys to Men, they loved all this stuff in the 90s. Don't tell me, we had moved past that. And all of a sudden it comes rushing back in. And for 8 years,
the division has always been a way.
For 8 years, all you heard was how terrible you were and how pathetic you were if you weren't this color. And Donald Trump was just by his brazen attitude, like what he said to Rosie O'Donnell. It just simple things like that inspired people to punch back. And I think that's why they hate him so much. It's not because of anything else. It's because he inspired a country of people to step up and say, enough is enough.
Well, they've, in the same sentence there, he's encouraged people to be critical thinkers.
Right.
And that to me is, you've got to look so much deeper than the first couple of sentences on whatever feed you're scrolling through at lightning speed. And if you're not questioning it, you're doing yourself the greatest disfavor, because the narrative that's coming out of both sides of the mainstream media is a complete fabrication. Okay? I mean, it is what it is. They are lying sacks of shit.
Oh, yeah.
And Trump actually pulled their pants down.
Sure he did.
And called them out.
Exposed them.
And absolutely. And I feel stronger knowing that someone was there going, that's horseshit.
Yeah.
I'm going to call you out on this. By the way, how many trillions of dollars did the Pentagon drop down and become unaccountable for? Oh, here we go. JFK. Oh, there we go. FBI. Oh, Russiagate.
Well, he said the quiet. He said the quiet stuff out loud even after he become president. Things like, we're going to keep some soldiers in Syria. They're going to be there. They're going to be guarding the oil fields. Nobody ever said stuff like that. Like, he was like, you're acknowledging that they're there, and you just said they're there for the oil. You know what I mean? Or I got this great deal to Saudi. We're going to give them tons of weapons and great money. Like, they don't want you to know all that kind of stuff. But, he, for whatever it was, he pulled the curtain back, and they despise him for it.
Well, the deep state is all about manipulation. So, at that point, he became their greatest enemy.
Yeah, but if you go back, he did a couple things. That's like that John McCain thing. He called him a damn traitor. I said, oh my God, I said, he's finished. No, he was true. Everything he was saying was true. John McCain was nothing but a traitor, okay?
He is a warmonger and neocon.
Yeah, well, he's using that damn captive thing, try to get sympathy from everybody. And then that old Liz Cheney, his daughter, was the worst piece of crap. She was as bad as Obama. She just didn't have the power that he had, okay? But Obama started all the racist bullshit, okay?
Yeah, John McCain, I know he caught a lot of crap for that. That's one of the things I supported. What did they call him in Vietnam? They called him Canary John or something like that. Because his dad was like an admiral, huge person in the military. Mm-hmm. So, there's a good chance he probably was. I can't pretend, as a veteran myself, I'm not going to pretend like I can put myself in a POW's. So one half of me says, well, he was an admiral's son. Maybe they did give him a bunch of shit. But there are a lot of other soldiers there that you can't really tell it's true, but they say he sung a lot. And who really knows what the truth is? But either way, at the end of the day, regardless of whether you were POW or not, and regardless of what you went through, I have sympathy for you either way. But to come out and being somebody who knew what that was about, who knew what the vigors of war were, and come here and turn around and support every freaking war and send more kids and more children over there to their deaths and capture.
He saw the money pot coming out of the Pentagon and the war machine, which unfortunately this country is built upon. And, we got to push back at that.
Yeah.
It doesn't serve any purpose spending trillions of dollars on a failed system, whatever that may be, F-35, F-22, whatever it may be. Let's not even talk about NASA and that unfunded. What is going on there?
We're not going to go there anyway.
No, we're not. I'm going to leave it alone.
But it's
I was always opposed to us going back. We'd go over and shoot up someplace and then go back and rebuild it better. Okay, sending all that money back.
Yeah, all our taxpayers' money.
And all that was doing is just like, let me tell you, you'll never make me believe that when Biden went to Ukraine, that they paused the war so he could come down the tracks. Okay, he went to get his part of that $150 billion they've sent over there. I'll guarantee you that it comes out somewhere.
Oh yeah, that's all Ukraine is, a big money laundering.
Well, sure it is, and all the Democrats, all the communists.
Yeah. How many biolabs are in the Ukraine right now?
Yeah.
Funded and sponsored by U.S. taxpayer dollars.
Yeah.
Well,
how many? It is shocking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do your research. I'm not going to tell you because next thing I know, there's that hearsay guy always looking to dish the negative. But open your bloody eyes and start making some educated decisions and stop realizing the narrative that you're fed is the truth. Really.
But I think overall with Trump, he opened everybody's eyes to what the corruption was up there. And he went in thinking it was a partial swamp. It's all swamp.
Yeah,
the whole thing is swamp. And I mean, look at what we're seeing now with the DOJ, FBI, all these people are in on it.
Yeah, if nothing else, look, you can like Trump, you cannot. I'm indifferent. But if you can't pull yourself back and see what is going on is fascistic, that what they're doing to him in coordination with what they're not doing to the Bidens.
Right.
I mean, this is USSR political corruption.
This is a police state right now.
They are going after political opponents and all these charges against him when we clearly, and now the corporate media is starting to turn on Joe Biden too. You can start. They're done with.
Well, they want to get rid of him.
They're done with him. You can see that's.
Be careful what you wish for.
Backing up a little bit. Look what Hillary did.
So don't
look
even.
what Hillary did.
Don't
all this Russia collusion bullshit. She funded that
every
out
bit
of her
of it.
campaign fund.
And these are all facts. You call us lunatics, and like I said, once again, I cannot stress this enough. I'm a libertarian. I voted for Spike Cohen and Joe Jorgensen the last election. In 2016, I voted third party. But if you can't see that there is clear and obvious corruption going on here, then I don't know what to tell you.
I can't help you.
No.
I can't help you.
There's no help for you.
So I want to know, so you went to these rallies, you went out west for 2 or 3 months. When did this store right here become a reality?
September the 15th of 2020.
So coming up to his re-election campaign is when you kind of opened this place up.
Peak of COVID, no less.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we opened up here, and this place, we had to set up out in the yard out there. There was so many people coming and shopping. We had tents and tables all over that yard out there.
I remember seeing them.
It was 50, 90 people here all day long till we closed, okay? Traveling in and out. From Roanoke, people passing by.
Straight in the middle of a COVID pandemic, too.
Oh, yeah.
I can imagine you probably didn't require masks.
No, I had a big sign.
That was going to be my next question.
I've got a 4x8 sign that we put out on that side of Boones Mill, and this sign. Masks are restricted here. You cannot wear one, okay?
Yeah,
we had it on the building here. We put them on the building. People would start in the door and said, "Hey, hold on. Take that mask off. I know you're liberal if you don't." And some of them would turn around and leave.
Fair enough. I don't need your money.
I didn't know. No.
At that point, you're winning.
Well, that's a beautiful thing. And so you opened this place up, and so between his election bid in 2015 and 2016 and 2020, did you keep selling stuff, or did you or did you just?
We did some, and then I stopped. It was like slow. And we stopped a while, and then we went back at it just before we came here, okay? And
As it started heating up.
I'd actually seen a sign out there in the yard, and when I passed by here, I seen this sign. The grass is about this tall. There's a for sale sign over there. So I went over and kicked the sign down and called Adam Lynch, and he said, "Yeah, it's for sale." And I said, "Well, I'll tell you, he wanted $125,000 for it. Okay, it had some problems. Some of the floors were bad, and a few things that I had to fix. But anyway, he told me he wanted $125,000. I said, "Well, I'll tell you what I'll do. Tell him I'll give him 80." He said, "I will not." I said, "You will, because I told you to." Well, anyway.
There's that conflict of client interest again.
Yeah.
You're not an attorney, you're a realtor. You represent me.
That's right.
Get your hands out my damn pocket.
That's right.
And I told you 80 grand. Now bugger off and tell me what they say when you come back.
So he called me back, He called me back. He said, "Whitey, they got somebody that's going to pay them double what they want."
I call bullshit.
Said, "Well, I'll tell you what, Adam." I said, "Must not have been meant for me." And he said, "Oh, whatever." He hung up, okay? 2 months later.
That's a realtor's trick, by the way. Oh, there's someone hot coming.
Yeah.
They're the next people to view it.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, well, anyway, I was heading to Charleston, West Virginia to a Trump rally, and he calls me. He said, "Whitey, you'd still give them $80,000 for that building?" I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Okay, it's yours."
You should have said, "Nope, 70,000 now."
I paused. I paused because I started to go down, but I knew they was already mad at me because I'd offered them lowballed them. And anyway, so anyway, hey.
And the realtor comes groveling back.
Anyway, 2 months later, I'm heading to Charleston, West Virginia to a Trump rally, okay? And I'll never forget, even where I was at. I was right there I just hit 77 in Princeton, okay? And he said, "Whitey, will you still give them 80,000? And I paused for a second because I thought about going down. And I said, "No, they're already mad at me." I said, "Yeah, I'll give them 80,000. He said, "Well, it's yours." Well, I knew a guy had a key, okay? So I just came on back. I turned around. I came back, filled this thing up, and started setting up out there. About 3 days later, he came by and said, "Whitey, what are you doing?" I said, "You told me it's mine." I said, "What's the problem, Adam?" He said, "People back out all the time." I said, "Does it look like I'm going to back out?" I said, "No, I know what your problem is, Adam. You haven't been paid." I said, "You need to be paid. That's what it is. Let me pay you." Yeah. So I paid him.
That is
sent him on his
funny.
merry way, okay?
That is too funny. What do you mean? You've
So-
taken possession. Hang about.
He told me it was mine. What else do I need?
Yeah, that's all.
My word is my bond.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Have I?
Yeah.
How much? Yeah, it's too bloody funny.
So 2020, you set up here at the store, and how much pushback and crap did you get when you opened the doors up and you had all these Trump flags and all this kind of stuff?
Oh, quite a bit. Still got a girl who drives a pedal car around here, like a little pedal car. She goes all the way around this building with her fingers straight up. Every time I'm sitting outside, okay? I have them scream at me all the time.
What are the guys just the other side of the T junction here that do the carving, and they've had all the Confederate flags out there? They got a rack of shit at one point.
Yeah.
And they took them all down. And then within days, they all came back bigger.
Yeah.
And I just thought, there you go. That's freedom. Love it.
What are you talking about?
There's
Gary Hunt around
the store around the corner that's been run through about 100 times from drunk drivers. Yeah, I mean, that was one of the stores that the BLM, Bridget Craighead showed up to, and apparently she took that little statue. And I'm sitting there thinking, man, that guy has had up rebel flags, gay flags, any flag you can think of for 20 years he's had out there, like anything you want to get.
Oh, yeah.
Then go in there and do it's just...
Again, that's a progressive. That is how a progressive behaves.
But it's so mind... And I see a lot of people... and
what happened with that court case, by the way?
It hasn't come through yet. They're suing them for like $5 million, I think.
Where?
Well, BLM and Bridget Craighead, the BLM, I guess, chapter.
The judges dropped the case. Yeah.
Have they really?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know if that had gone through, but
it's gone through.
Now, have they? Is that also with the media outlets too, or just her?
Yeah.
So they dropped every bit of it.
They dropped it on her and the media.
Did they settle or anything?
No.
So those people who had their houses printed all over.
It's right. Their house is straight across the street, across the track.
I know exactly the house you're talking about.
They were all over TV as being racist,
haters.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which, and I don't even know them.
No.
But they're entitled to do whatever they please.
Yeah, but they're
with
definitely
their
not
property.
racist. They're just a bunch of country.
You
folk.
know?
I don't, we've had we've had BLM on this show before. We've sat down and talked with them, and we've never had her on or spoke with her. And I know she got her panties all in a bunch and I want to ask you about this with, the $5 million thing. I'm sitting there thinking, not once have you ever come out and said, well, hey, great, you had this person on, because we don't care black or white. If you're interested, come on the show. We've had tons of black people on the show, talk nothing about politics, just MMA fighters, football players like John Clinton. Just, it doesn't matter. Just if you're interested, we want to have you on here. Never once any credibility or anything.
Basham and his $50,000
but start talking shit. Start talking shit about a white liberal progressive in this town, or disagree with, and all of a sudden they're here. You know what I mean? It's just, it makes no. And then but to see that groveling, that, oh my God, I can't believe I'm being sued for $5 million. That groveling, please help me out.
Oh yeah.
It just, you know what I mean? It's just like,
you made your bed.
I don't wish nothing bad on you, but you came at us. You know what I mean? We never came at you. We offered an olive branch to everybody, and Brian and Darnell took it. And can't wait to have them back on the show because there's so much I want to talk about right now. What's going on with the world? I'd love to sit down with Brian and Darnell and talk about. That's going to come maybe in the fall time, and they've got a new podcast, all this stuff. But to see the vitriol and the hate for this place, it's like, I know if you live around here, if you don't like Trump, or whether you're indifferent, or if you hate him, it's like,
turn a blind eye.
This place, how many people from how many countries and states have you had come here just for this? How much business has this town had? How many Trump burgers were sold at the distillery across the street?
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
We're not asking you for your revenue receipts
Right.
or anything like that.
Well, this has been, it's the number one destination in Virginia. That speaks for itself, okay? Nobody can deny that. Everybody in this state that knows about this place, and of course we get their picture there with Trump. They put it on Facebook. Everybody all over the country. I had a guy come in here a couple of days ago. He was from Jersey. He said, my girlfriend has never been here before, but she threatened me if I didn't stop, knowing I was coming by your store. And he had to buy her a bunch of merchandise, take it back home.
That sounds like one of our friends from New Jersey, actually. Kerry and Brian. It sounds very much like them. I was told to stop.
Well, you said they had to stop in here the other day, right?
Oh, yeah. Every time they come down. Every time they come down, they re-merchandise up.
We've had, we've had 25 foreign countries come here. I've had 10 that did stories on me here. They bring a camera crew. I had Ukraine before the war started. I had Japan was the last people to come here. World News has been here. I've just had everybody. They've been here and did an interview, did a story. Funny thing is people be walking in the store and they said, can we interview these people? And they said, no. I said, well, who cares about what in Japan? Say whatever you want to say. Talk to these people. Nobody's going to see you. Nobody's going to know who you are. Who cares about it? Yeah.
But what a world we live in. It used to be you'd want to get on TV and you're like, hey, I'm going to be on TV this time. Now it's like, oh, I had a Trump hat on. I don't want my neighbors to see. It's like,
I had this old lady.
We won't forget December the 7th.
This guy and his son brought this old lady down here. I've got her picture on my phone. She's 87 years old, okay? And she came down from Akron, Ohio, and he said, hey, buddy. He said, I was just sitting outside out there, and he said, this is my mama. We asked her where she wanted to go for vacation. She said, you know where I want to go, to the Trump store. And so they come down here, and she's out there. Her name's D-E-E. Anyway, she's come down there, and she's walking up the sidewalk, and they'd already been up there and telling me stuff. And they said she's got everything she has on is Trump. She comes up there, and her hat, her scarf, her shoes, her socks, her pants, her blouse, everything was Trump. And she said, even my underpants. I said, oh, you don't have to show me them.
I mean, that's
you don't have to show me them.
An 87-year-old has still got the source to say the panties have got Trump on them.
Yeah,
I mean, that's great.
No, I had this girl came in and she said, is all this shit made in China? I said, yep, like your panties. And she said, you're a liar. I don't have any on. I said, hang on.
You're one of those.
Hang on. So I'd give her a shot glass. From now on, they got to show me, though. Yeah.
Got them. I mean, the amount of people that have come, I mean, I can't even begin to fathom the experiences you've had in this place.
Well, you got a beating, was it a couple of years ago, for doing and if you don't remember who I am, I'm the English dude in Callaway with the cannon.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I've been knowing him forever. I'm sitting
exactly.
here looking at
If you listen to some of our older shows, we think he's CIA, former CIA, or he's
God,
come in
here we
here,
go.
but that's a whole different.
Heather Winch.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Oh Lord, yep.
That's the missus.
But yeah, no, this was great. Well, you know, they fought me with that little old Christmas parade forever. All the
Well, when you turned up with your caravan,
oh yeah.
Hold on, somebody fill me in here. What's
and
going on?
there was a lot of folks on whichever Callaway page it may have been. Why did Whitey Taylor turn up with a political rally and blah blah blah? It's a Christmas rally. You can turn up and do whatever you want.
Sure
you can
you
wear whatever you want.
Yeah.
When you see some of the freaks turning up doing the Macy's parade, you kind of think, actually, wearing a Trump shirt really is actually quite tame.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So when you got a racker, you know
Yeah.
what,
Right.
for how dare he turn up to the Christmas parade? How dare he not?
The
You know?
only reason I didn't bring the bus this year, I couldn't get it cranked. I'll bring it next year. Oh yeah.
Well, the
Definitely.
cannon's always there.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, yeah, that's appreciated. That's awesome. Yeah, but yeah, people, getting back to the people that have came here. One Saturday morning, I was sitting out there in the chair. 3 people came up. One was from Australia, one was from Canada, and one was from Turkey. And all 3 of them said, "This is on my bucket list." They came here.
Now, for a
To America.
Canadian to say that, that's saying something.
Oh, it is.
He must be undercover, that's for sure.
Yeah,
Were you the first Trump store of this kind, or
I was the first Trump store, but I put it in Tennessee. And what happened in Tennessee, I was over in West Virginia selling, and it was a Friday morning, and the girl at the hotel lobby we was checking out was going out to sell in Princeton, West Virginia, and Beckley. And I said, "Well, I'll see you Monday." And she said, "You won't see me. I'm going on vacation." I said, "So where are you going on vacation?" She said, "I'm going to Pigeons Forge, Dollywood."
There we
I said, "I'll
go.
see you tonight." A bell just went off. There's 25,000 people coming there every day and 25,000 leaving. So we went down there and set up. And sure enough, she came by that night. Well, anyway, I was there 7 days, and here comes this police car. Police car says, "Hey, buddy, you." I had my son with me. He said, "You, the big one, come here." He said, "You got to go uptown with me." I said, "What's going on?" He said, "The mayor wants to talk to you." I said, "Well, I'll just follow you." He said, No. He told me to bring you. You're going to go uptown.
Ooh, I'm so
So we go
intimidated.
uptown. Yeah, oh yeah, we go uptown to the mayor's office, and the mayor said, "Son, nobody's ever sat on my streets the way you have." And he said, "You can't do that here." He said, "But I'm going to tell you, you got to make me a promise you won't leave this town with your Trump business. You got to stay in this town." He said, "I'm going to get you a building. You go down there." He said, "I've already got you a building on the side of 66 coming in here." He said, "All you got to do is go down there and negotiate with the guy." So we'll go down there and negotiate. We had a Trump store there for a year and a half.
And that's
That was
down to the mayor.
First one in America.
in
That was-
Tennessee?
Yeah.
And now you've got one in Christiansburg too, right?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, because I don't know if you know about this or not, but South Park, me at 40 years old, I'm still a South Park fan. I really enjoy, because they make fun of everybody, and even making fun of stuff I like, I can still sit back and laugh at it because
It's humor.
they're
Yeah.
they did a show here this most recent season, and I'll never forget it because I was sitting up there in the podcast room and I was watching it, and basically what they did is the school teacher, the kids in the show, eventually went on to become a character of Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And he was a big part of a couple seasons. Well, this most recent season, he goes back to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and he's got a partner. It's a gay partner, whatever. He's like, "I don't want to go back there. I know you're going to get back involved in this stuff." He's like, "No, I promise I won't do it again." And you think he's going to go to this gay bar or something. But he goes down there and it's a Trump store he goes into, and he keeps getting in trouble because he keeps going to the Trump store and rallying. And I thought to myself, this South Park episode is on Whitey Taylor right now. You know what I mean? I mean, this is huge. I went and told my wife, "You got to come watch this." I mean, they just did a South Park about the Trump store.
So hang about here. There's I've got to pull you up on something. So you have forgone Dr. Martin, and now you're watching the cartoon South Park.
No, first off, I have been watching South Park since it came out in '98 when I was still in high school. I'm over 40. Next month, I'll be 41. So I still watch it because they still poke fun of Verdi. But the Doc Martin thing, I was down at my in-laws this weekend, and I pull up that on Pluto TV, and it's this British network, and that's all they play is the same damn show. I found an app for British TV where I get so much more. There was a vampire show that I was let my daughter start watching, and I go outside and I come back in and it was changed. I was like, "Why'd you change the show?" And my mother-in-law was like, "That was just the worst production I've ever seen in my entire." I was like, "It's British." I mean, what do you expect?
Exactly. Have
But
you
I'm
seen
gonna
the
start-
condition of
I'm-
our roads?
I am downloading that app. I'm going to start watching nothing but British TV when I get an opportunity. So, but like I said, it's just the 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 idea of the store here.
Yeah.
And bringing commerce to this area. Look, I don't care. Not somebody's not as a Trump fan. I encourage it because it really is. I bet you this place brings in more people than the Harvester does.
Oh, 10 times.
You know what I mean? It brings in maybe I don't know what the Harvesters know. They're hemorrhaging money. Clearly, you're making money, so more people have to be coming in here. But so you make the store. And you have this whole thing going on even during the COVID regime. How long do you anticipate this continue to go on here? Just
2040.
2040.
And I'll tell you why.
'Cause
all of his kids will have run through the office by then.
Well, that's genius, because Langley, and this is how I want to segue into something else. I had Langley on the show not too long ago, and he was telling me that, he said, man, the Trump store is probably the most profitable and easiest thing you've ever done. He's like, it's the most genius thing.
By far, yeah.
By far. And not a lot of overhead, not a lot of headache. I mean, granted, you got to deal with screaming liberals.
I know, but I love it.
But
that's the part.
But you used to have to deal with just screaming race car drivers or pit crew guys.
My wife, first time she heard of these liberals, she said, "You're right in your element. Stay right there." Yeah.
That's funny. I mean, that was going to be one of my questions was, what happens with 24 Trump? What happens in 28? Because he can't do it again.
No. This store, yeah. But
so we're talking presidential support for.
Yeah, but this store will sell. The things that he's already done. He's the only guy that fulfilled all of his promises. Okay, nobody ever has been elected ever fulfilled a portion of their promises. He fulfilled every promise and then some. This guy's stuff will sell 20 years from now, today. I know when I first started out, everybody said, "Have you got anything of Reagan?" And I said, "Well, not really." But finally, I got a few things. I've got a stand up there, and I got a few things, Reagan Bush shirts and all. But we've sold some of that stuff back in a couple of years back. Yeah. But everybody still likes what Reagan did. Now, this let me tell you something. This guy's more popular. All that bullshit about Biden getting 80 million votes, that's a lie. I guarantee he didn't get 30 million votes.
From his basement? The basement campaign?
You can't, yeah.
Not
well,
possible.
I'll tell you, here's proof. Biden and Obama advertised as going to South Carolina to some drive-in. You can look us up. And they went, okay? Mm-hmm. They had 23 cars that came in and parked to listen to see what they had to say.
23.
Now, you know some of those people just driving by and they say, "What's over at the old theater? Let's go over and see what's going on." And the rest of them, they probably paid them to show up.
That's my thing. It's like, just let's break it down to just simple economics.
Yeah.
If let's take baseball, all right, because everybody knows what baseball is. Baseball, the Atlanta Braves, you go to their stadium, 50, 60,000 people. Good Friday night, Dodgers are in town. 50 or 60,000 people are packing that place, and you go in there like, man, this is the real deal. Mm-hmm. Okay, go down to the Braves single A affiliate in Danville. You go down there, and there's maybe 500-600 people.
Right,
and
at the most.
Yeah, and there's not a lot. That's how these campaign rallies were going. You would have 50,000 people at a Trump rally. You would have a couple hundred people, how can you not look at that and say something is messed up here? And this guy won.
And it was the photo cropping.
Take everything else out.
That was selling that fabrication.
Yeah.
So I hold the mainstream media. I mean, how dare you hoodwink, the general public to fit in with your narrative? I mean, that's treason.
He just went to Greenville Pickens, South Carolina, okay? Lindsey Graham lives 5 miles away. Now, they booed Lindsey Graham off stage. They made him go off stage.
Good. I can't stand Lindsey Graham.
Me neither. He's a rhino.
Another warmonger.
Yep.
Yeah, oh, yeah, sure he is. Trump, the paper there said he had 50,000 people, okay? Trump didn't say that. They said that. Yeah.
50. I mean, just people. The optics alone, how can you not just question how can you not say 50,000 people here, 500 people here?
And I got 80 million from my basement campaign.
Yeah.
Not a chance.
Bull, yeah.
I mean, come on. Come on. And he got more votes than Obama did, who was by far
more popular.
More
Yeah.
popular than
exactly.
this clown.
But you had two states that had more votes to come in than they had voters, Pennsylvania and Wyoming. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's completely ridiculous. But
Oh, sure.
I want to get to some other stuff here too, because I know this is a big new thing. But I want to know, you go way back though, and you go back to the Speedway. You go back to running for office in this town. I remember you ran for office sometime 20 or 30 years ago. You drive around town in the convertible Cadillac. You had the bullhorn and everything. What was that office you were running? Was that Board of Supervisors?
House of Delegates.
House of Delegates. Okay.
I got 28% of the vote, and I knew nothing about it, okay? I was just out there to get the free publicity. And, of course, I had TV7, TV10. They'd follow me around just to hear me talk to people.
You got
on the
Boss
sidewalk.
Hog and his bull.
Yeah, with those little big bulls.
Long
sticking
horns.
out there. Yeah, oh, yeah.
That's Boss Hog cut. That's
Oh, yeah.
superb.
Well, so you did that for the Speedway pretty
Yeah,
much.
the publicity, yeah. It's sort of like every time that the Sheriff Overton, he used to raid the racetrack. Well, the next week we'd pick up 2,000 people. I said, hey, we need a raid, man.
All right, that's what I want to talk about right here. So how far do you go back? When did you start getting into the promotion business?
1978.
What got you in it?
Oh, well, I bought the track to have a concert. I was actually picking some apples one day, and they were talking about the track's up for sale, blah, blah, blah. They're not doing very good. And I said, man, if we could have one good concert there, what kind of money could you make?
Hold on. Is this going to the Willie Nelson?
Yeah.
Okay, because when I announced this show, this is a question everybody had. They wanted to know about the Willie Nelson.
1980, the Great Southeastern Music Festival. Okay, I was they had a reporter. AP Wire had a reporter just stayed with me. Okay, and he was sending out stories every day. Okay, and that thing would have been just off the charts. They said the highways were blocked when people got the news by radio that it had been canceled. Okay. The highways were blocked, like 81, several roads. People would just pull off the side of the roads, okay? But I'd already sold tickets in 18 states, and it would have been, it's really a good thing it didn't happen, because we would have had probably 300,000 people up there, and we was looking at 40, okay? Yeah. That's what I had.
Wow.
I had 200 porta-johns brought in. The state police had 200 state policemen up there with 2 helicopters. The guy at the school, he had made all these biscuits, Joe Ben Jamison, and I really felt sorry for him. He didn't get to sell them, and then they canned him or something. I mean, it was bad. But we had all kinds of good things going on. And then the barn caught on fire.
That's something that somebody mentioned to me. Said they were an EMT on that, and they still got scars from that fire. What happened with that?
Oh, I don't believe any of that bullshit. But here's what happened to it. Here's what happened. This old boy had 2 girls over there, and he's drinking beer, and I'm sure he's trying to have sex with them or whatever. But anyway, they got the barn on fire. It was just a little old barn, leaning barn. It was already old. But I had put up a $57,000 bond, cash bond, with the county. And so after that little barn burned down, it was just a little building. It was 2 stories, but it was very small. It burned down. And they said, well, before we release any of this money, you're going to have to rebuild his barn, okay? He's a really good guy. This guy, awesome. His name was Bill Pearl. Me and him were friends from way back. In fact, the Sheriff Overton had came by, and he had who was the Commonwealth attorney at the time, Bill Alexander, with him. And Bill Pearl, they were blaming me for the barn getting on fire, okay? And Bill Pearl, he was drinking, I guess. And he jumped up on their hood and about destroyed a 72 Nova, okay, that Overton was driving. He kicked the windshield in. I'm pretty sure this happened like this, okay? That's what I remember. I know the last time I talked to Overton, who me and him become the best of friends before he died, he asked me one night at a football game, he said, Whitey, is that old bony-legged B.L. Furrow still alive? I said, yes, he is, and he's still in Callaway. But B.L. was an awesome guy. I admired him. He had pulled his time in the military, and me and him talked all the time. But he also was a great mechanic. He had race cars that he had put at the track. In fact, his last race car, the guy that built the racetrack raced for him, who was Wilton A.G.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's Steve. Steve, you know Steve.
Yeah.
It comes
Oh, yeah.
around Amos is quite a bit.
Yeah.
We tried to get Wilton to come on the show and talk about constructing that speedway.
We'll get. I'll get him.
I told you Steve couldn't get him on it, but if you can, that would be great
I
because
can. Yeah,
you know
me and him goes way back.
he had put the asphalt he put down is something like it's no other asphalt in the country for any other racetrack. I can't remember exactly what it was that he put.
No, it was a rubber mixture. He had them put a third rubber tires in that mixture. Okay, that's why that thing's lasted for what is it,
50 years now.
50-some years.
Yeah, that surface up there, what he did was genius. It was genius. So why did they come in and why did they shut the concert down? What was their justification?
Johnny Paycheck and Willie Nelson. Okay, and they had the sheriff Overton had been interviewed, and me and the sheriff had been talking, and there was nothing ever going to happen. He's for it all the way. Overton was. And me and him been talking, and this Ben Beagle wrote this story from the Roanoke Times, took up about a half a page, and it says Overton will arrest Willie Nelson, and all what he said. The question he said, "Now you're the sheriff of this county," and all he said, "I've been hired to uphold the law," because he asked him, said, "Will you arrest him if he drinks on stage?" Because he did. I went to a concert at Roanoke Civic Center in April, just before this, and I know I was going to get him to promote that night that he's going to be in Callaway in October. Okay, and what happened was, when I was just sitting out there on the sidewalk, and they said, "What do you need, buddy?" And I told them who I was, what was going on, and they said, "Well, you need to talk to Snake." Snake was his road manager. And I said, "Okay, where's Snake?" When you see a bus come in with a gold ring around the top, all these buses look alike, except that one will have a gold ring on it. That's Willie's bus. He'll be on that bus, okay? Well, Snake comes in, and these small girls are trying to attack Willie, and he puts them on the ground, okay? I was impressed with him. But anyway, they said, he talked to me, and he said, I'll talk to Willie. So he talked to Willie. And Willie told him, said, that's why you paid so much to those. He was mad at the booking agent that I had booked through, which was Buddy Lee Attractions out of Nashville. And he said, that's why you pay all that big money to them. They're supposed to promote you, okay? But he said, you're welcome to sit up on the stage with us tonight. Man, they carried a real Coca-Cola cooler, one of them old big Coca-Cola metal coolers in there, and that thing was full of Budweiser beer. They had passing around marijuana just like this, okay? It was like they said, you want? I said, no, I don't. I had never did any, so I said, no, I don't want any of that. But I was sitting out back. That guy was out there on stage, and he was as close as where you're sitting right there right now. And every person that came up there, them old girls was throwing their panties up there, and every person that came up there was drinking out of a bottle of whiskey, and he'd take a shot of it. I don't know how he was still standing at the end of the night. But
You're talking about Snake or Willie?
Willie. Yeah, but he would take a shot out of everybody's bottle. They'd go over there and, hey.
Well, I remember my dad telling me about Hank Williams coming to Roanoke, Hank Williams Jr., being so drunk, he get him out of the stage and starts rapping. Mm-hmm. So they were irritated that, and so did Willie just decide not to come when he thought
No. When that story came out, this New York lawyer told Willie, said, if you go down there, it's going to be a riot because that sheriff's going to arrest you. And they call me from the Commonwealth's office. They call me from sheriff's office. And they said, Whitey, he'll never be touched, okay? Get the word to him. We will never touch that man. And because the word had already hit the AP wire and all that, and everybody was talking about it. But that lawyer talked him into not coming down here.
No kidding.
I had about a $400,000 investment in all of that. But when it finally came down, I got a $79,000 settlement out of Willie, okay?
Really?
Yeah.
For canceling the show?
Yeah.
God, that could, because that's the show
that's
that
gold right
everybody
now,
talks about. Everybody wants to bring up that show and how many people did you actually have show up to the track in anticipation?
Oh, they came on anyway. A lot of people did.
Did you have any kind of music there for them? Or
I was trying to think of the girl that we had on the card. She came on, she sang. But we had some local people, all bands already lined up too. But we built this big stage. We had everything ready, and everything was it was terrible.
Wow. When the rug gets pulled like that.
Yeah.
That's just a nightmare.
Now they had 200 state troopers there at the schoolhouse. They
I
was
bet
all
my
down
grandpa
school.
was one of them. I
Yeah.
bet you know who he was too.
Yeah, sure.
Don
did.
Riddle?
Yeah, yes, he was there. Well, listen, Lieutenant Compton was over all the state police in this area. Okay, and it was hot as blazes. But they was out on the track. We had a picture of 18 state trooper cars out on the track just circling like it's here. So he comes up there where I'm at, and he said, "Whitey, get in and sit down, would you?" He said, "My boss needs to ask you a question." And the main guy from Richmond, he said, "My boss wants to know if you're suicidal." I said, "Hell no, but I'm homicidal." And he starts laughing. And that's back before he said, "I got to call him and tell him, man."
Well, so you bought the track in hopes of doing a concert.
Right.
So what was your thought? Did you have a lot of experience in the racing world?
No. I had bought a car, and I had raced it over there. Okay.
Because there's pictures of you out there with Humpy Wheeler too.
Yeah. But I had well, they used to compare me to him all the time.
That I've heard that many times.
And
he took a lot of your ideas and
he did. He stole them from me
and used them in NASCAR to build NASCAR.
I had an office in the Charlotte Tower at one time. I had an office down there because I was going to put in a racing series of old late model race cars. Okay, and was going to call it Sportsman. He got 13 people. He stole the idea out of my office. Okay, either that or one of the guys that was working for him told him what I planned to do. They stole that idea. They got 13 people killed with it, though. Yeah, these people they threw them out there on that big track and had no experience or anything else. But I was going to take them. We was going to run a series, and with South Boston, Franklin County,
New River,
Lonesome Pine, just small racetracks. And our big track was going to be Nashville. They stole that out of my office, the plan, and they ran with it, and they got 13 people killed there.
So essentially, you had the idea, basically what the car tour is today, where you go around and you have a tour that hits. Because back in the day, the big thing was just Saturday nights. Yeah. Franklin County had its deal, but even back in the day, New River would run Friday nights to hook you and Saturday. That way, the drivers could hit both tracks up. There was, Langley had mentioned that. He said there was more of a back and forth where you worked with other tracks because you wanted to bring them in. But the whole thing about a national or a regional tour, that
was going to be the thing because I could see when NASCAR went to these late model stocks, the handwriting was on the wall. These guys were not going to be able to afford them on a weekly basis, and that's what they have right now. They started talking about late models. You can get 4 or 5. Motor Miles has paid them out the yin yang, and they get 4 or 5 too. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not about the money. It's just they're not here no more. Okay.
Yeah, it's so expensive.
When I was racing back in the day, there was 25 race cars that came out of the city of Roanoke. I'll guarantee you, I only know of one right now. There may be 2. There may be some.
Reedy?
No, the only person I know of is Kyle Dudley that lives in the city. His car comes out of the city of Roanoke.
Yeah, and Kyle's a hell of a driver. We've had him on one of our shows before.
Back in the day, we had 25 in the city of Roanoke.
God, and that's not counting everything else coming from Fielddale, coming from Franklin County.
Yeah.
That's,
priced out of the market.
Really hit it. That did it.
That's why. Yeah, they. What happens with NASCAR is NASCAR will say like you gotta. I'm just for instance, you got to run Monroe shocks. Okay. Well, NASCAR gets a big kickback, and all these cars are required to run that one shock. Okay, and so the price triples. Okay, the racer is paying for them getting a kickback of money, or carburetors, or anything like transmissions and different things on a race car. They were getting kickbacks like from these late model stocks, and that's what they are now. Those cars are $100,000 cars.
Yeah. How often did NASCAR hound you about turning Franklin County Speedway or Callaway into a NASCAR sanctioned track?
They courted me a long time because I was full. I made one big mistake in my life though. I had a guy that was working for me that worked for NASCAR, and he said, "Whitey, if you'll go to North Wilkesboro and help Enoch Staley, you could own half of that place." And I said, "Man, I'm too busy. I'm making too much money. I don't want to fool with that." But I should have went because they didn't know how to promote, and I did. And even back in the day, I had a meeting every Monday, and we'd go down to, used to be Western Sizzler, 611, maybe 10 or 15 people show up. And all we talked about was how could we get in the news, okay? Sam Oakey that owns Oakey's Funeral Home used to see me, the old man. He'd see me. He said, Whitey, I'll pay for all them free ads you're getting every week. I'd be in the paper, okay, every week about something or on the news. And so that just piled the people in here, you know.
I mean, it was like somebody, you weren't around back, and I caught probably the tail end of the real heyday, which was probably the early 90s. Because you would go up, my dad would start taking, I was probably 9 years old, and I would go up there, and I'm talking, you know, you would have six-pack Rodney Cundiff.
Yeah.
You'd have the McGuire brothers,
Have
Dudley
names.
Lawhorn.
Names, yeah.
Kenny Minner.
Yeah.
I mean, and I had just missed out. And actually before that, in the 80s, it was even bigger that I missed out on, because you would look back, and James Nagy, love him to death. If you're listening to this, go follow his Facebook page. It's you might be from Franklin County if you remember, but you know, we went back and forth a bunch, you know, on his stuff, and just just people will post on there too. Like back in the 80s, you would have Bill Elliott and Darrell Waltrip. A lot of these big names NASCAR drivers would come to Franklin County Speedway, you know, before they would go to Martinsville, one of these local Carolina tracks, and they'd race on Friday night. And I mean, crowds must have been massive. Massive.
I'd have at least four Cup drivers come in throughout the year and race. They didn't come in and sign autographs. They came to race. I remember one night, Darrell Waltrip, he was down the infield, and we'd done sold about 700 tickets to the infield, okay, because he was there. And he said, Whitey, I can't even breathe down here. Get these people out of here. Don't you sell no more tickets down here. I went right up there, and we started just sending to everybody.
More and more.
No, I was getting the money from them. I sent them right on down there. Yeah.
But I mean, that's how it was, you know, back in the day. You would get, you know, and it's starting to kind of come back around like that a little bit with NASCAR, where these guys are hitting the Friday night and Saturday night tracks here and there and doing it. But, I mean, back in the day.
But the sad part of it is there ain't nobody out there with the real name no more.
No, it really is.
Nobody. You know, all the Harry Gants, the Tim Richmonds, the Darrell Waltrip,
the
Cale Yarboroughs, the Earnharts, all them people are gone.
Yeah.
There ain't no names out there. I'm in the racing business, and I know very few people that's racing today.
Yeah, I mean, it's complete. The dynamic has completely changed.
Oh, yeah. Back in the day, everybody got to meet these guys, got to talk to these guys. Bobby Allison was a personal friend of mine and still is, okay? And, I mean, it was just awesome. I remember one of the better stories that I have, though, is one night Bill Elliott was racing for me, okay?
Now, Bill Elliott's my favorite driver growing up. That's why I like six-pack, 09 Ford.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Bill Elliott was dating one of the trophy girls that I had, okay? Anyway,
you're kidding.
Anyway,
wow.
Anyway, Bill had already raced for me several times. But this particular night, this big old gal showed up. She came up in the tower, and she's almost as big as I am, okay? And she said, "Who's Whitey?" Not Whitey, but Whitey. And I look over at her like, okay. I don't know where she's coming from, what she wants. I said, I am. She said, "I'm Martha, and I'm Bill's wife, and I came to collect the money, Whitey." And she said, "It's $5,000, right?" And I said, "Well, yeah." And I'm thinking, how am I going to get out of this, okay? She said, "Well, I'm here to collect the money." And he's probably down there messing with some old girl. And so help me, I looked down the infield because I knew where he's at. She didn't know where he's at. Infield's full of people, okay? And he was down there with some girl right then, leaned up against a car. But anyway.
You don't think about it, Bill Elliott, because,
yeah, I mean. But that night, I said, oh, my gosh, I'm going to have problems, you know. The whole race, I was thinking, when he comes up here, he's not going to be happy with me, okay? He stayed forever in that infield that night, okay?
Probably trying to hide from her.
Well, no, I think he's talking to that girl he seen there, okay? But
both.
Anyway, yeah, but anyway, Billy, he came across the track, and I walked out on the deck there. He came across the track, and he said, "Whitey." He called me Whitey also. They're from Georgia, okay, and they speak a little bit different than we do. But anyway, he said, "Whitey, you made a lot of money tonight, didn't you?" I said, "Yeah, we sure did. It was good." And he said, I said, "Bill," I said, "some lady came and got your money tonight." He said, "Oh, shucks. Has Martha been here?" And I said, that's who she told me she was. And he said, "Oh, shucks," and just turned around and went right back across the track and got in his car down there or whatever with somebody and left, okay? No, not any problem whatsoever. She had done that before.
He knew.
Oh, yeah.
He knew.
Oh, yeah.
Beating at his own game.
And that's wild because, like I said, huge Bill Elliott fan growing up, and actually a few years ago, right before, and I'm talking weeks, down to the days before COVID really kicked off in this country, and they started losing their minds. We had a wedding to go to down in Atlanta. My wife, she had some Indian friends from high school, and one of them was getting married. And let me tell you what, if you've never been to an Indian wedding, if you got an Indian friend, send them a message, say, next person in your family gets married, let me come to that event.
Yeah.
It is a kick-ass 3-day affair. But I told my wife, ahead of time, I said, all right, if we're going to go down and do this, then on Sunday, when we're heading back home, we're taking a little detour out of town. We're going to Dawsonville. I want to go see the Georgia Racing Hall of Fame, and I want to go eat at the Dawsonville pool room.
Mm-hmm.
Huge Bill Elliott fan. And, I go in there, and they've got a distillery in there, and I get talking to the guy, and he's like, yeah. He said, we're the moonshine capital of the world down here. I said, hold on for a second, buddy.
Yeah.
I said, hold on, what are you talking about here? I said, no. I said, you ever heard of Franklin County? He said, well, I have. I said, well, that's where I'm from. And I can tell you, he said, well, he said, we've had more moonshine stills busted here than any other place per capita on the planet. Yeah. I said, well, that's what makes you not the moonshine capital of the world.
Yeah.
I said, because we're smarter up here not to get busted as much as you. You know what I mean? But it's huge down there. It really is.
I had a guy from Floyd. He said, y'all claim you're the moonshine capital. He said, we have the bigger one that was just caught. I said, ours hadn't been caught, buddy.
No, that's what the problem is. We've had Henry.
We still got ours undercover.
We've had Henry on the show plenty of times, and it's great because, Henry used to have interactions with my grandpa.
Yeah.
And, I knew my grandpa, didn't know him well, didn't really get a lot of the stories that I wish I could have got out of him before he was gone, family dynamics and everything. But to hear the stories from Henry, after the fact, he was like, well, your grandpa never got me. And I just think, because he got a lot of people. He got a lot of, and just to have those stories here and to think about, Dawsonville and going down there doing that whole ordeal, it's like, well, you're really not the moonshine capital, but yeah, Bill Elliott.
The Pretenders.
But I'm a huge Bill Elliott fan, and to hear him, like, I would never imagine him being down in the infield.
Yeah.
With talking to some other chick with his wife. But he got remarried eventually, though, and that's how Chase came about. So clearly he wasn't very happy with Martha.
Oh, gosh.
He wasn't. He couldn't have been.
Sorry, Martha.
So tell me this, Whitey, because I want to know this one, too. We've I don't know if you've ever heard of the Scene Vault podcast, but it's a show, and it's Rick Houston and Steve Wade. Do you remember Steve Wade?
Yeah.
The news reporter from Roanoke. So them two do this show down in Carolina, and they have the best names in NASCAR come on their show. He interviews them, talks to them. He's had the biggest and the best. And we've had Rick on our show, and it was one of my favorites. And I remember listening to one of his shows with Rick Mast.
Yeah.
And you had a deal back in the day. It was 3 races.
Yeah.
$25,000. Now, tell that story, and then after the fact, I'll tell you what I've heard from both sides.
Yeah. Okay. What happened was I had put that challenge out of $25,000. You had to win like Memorial Day, 4th of July. You had to win 3 different races. Okay.
And we're thinking $25,000 in the mid '80s now. That is a lot of money.
Oh, it was a lot of money.
A lot of money
for late model. Well, he broke down. His truck broke down somewhere between Lexington and Roanoke, okay? And by the time they got it fixed, he said, damn, the only place we can possibly go is over to Whitey's, okay? And so they come over here because he knew about me because I had bought the Natural Bridge Speedway from his dad. Okay?
So you owned Natural Bridge at one time?
Yeah, for 10 years. But anyway, he came on over, and of course he had the premier equipment, okay? So he outran and Rick was a great racer too. He outran and won the first race, okay? Well, he comes back, he's unhooked in by all the publicity, and he ain't never been to a track that had that many people in it, okay, when he came up to Franklin County. So he got hooked in. He came and won the second race, and the Roanoke Times said, what are you going to do, Whitey? I said, he'll never win the third one. I'll make sure he don't. They said, what would you do? I said, I'll have somebody take him out. Yeah, I'll have him taken out. I ain't worried about it. And anyway, well, man, they write a whole page about how dirty I am. Okay, but anyway, it's just selling tickets. All right. I know the night that he came to do it, him and Bobby Radford got tangled, and Rick the news people said, well, he did it. He did what he said he's going to do.
He took him out.
His little buddy, Bobby Radford, took him out. And so they run over there to Rick, and they said, Rick, he took you out. And he said, no, he didn't have nothing to do with this. It's just a race. I said, you crazy nut. Why didn't you tell him that I did? I said, we got to build this thing up bigger, okay? And so then I gave him a second chance, okay? And the second chance was pretty good, but it wasn't as good as the real deal.
The big deal.
Where him and Bobby tangled. And Rick, let me tell you, I still say Rick Mast, he was a great racer. But he needed a promoter. And I told his dad this, and I told him this. He needed somebody like me to go before him and talk about him and build him up, okay? He's one of those guys that's like this unless somebody built him up. It's like this, okay? And pumped him up. I can prove that to you because when they was going to the Indianapolis 500 for the first time.
He sat on the pole for that first race.
Exactly. And why he sat on the pole was they'd had a big golf tournament here in Roanoke, and he had got a lot of publicity from it, and that he's going to be at the Indianapolis 500. He went out there and sat on the pole. Rick was a great racer, but he needed a promoter in front of him. All the smart racers, Darrell Walter, every one of them, Bill Elliott, every one of them that I know had a promoter that I talked through, okay? And that's what he needed. He could have won half the races he entered. He was a great racer. I know the first race he went to Daytona, he had no 68 Chevelle, okay, race car. And he's running third, and Chris Economaki, he's going crazy because he don't know where this guy came from, hardly who knew his name was. And they said, we got no information on this guy, and he looks like he might could win. Yeah, and they're panicking.
Yeah, because and if you listen to the Scene Vault podcast with Rick Mast, he talks about this event.
Yeah.
And he talks about how, he had this event down at Franklin County Speedway, and he was supposed to go win 3 races, and he won them, but he didn't get all of his money.
Yeah.
But then Langley cleared that up, though. Langley said, well, hey, look, to be honest, let's make it fair. Whitey gave him a second chance. He said he didn't. That $25,000, he lost it because he didn't win that third race, but he gave him a second chance. And then when he won it, he said that you didn't get to him right away, but you took him bags and bags of 5s and 1s eventually to get him that money, to pay him off.
Yeah. But it was, the second one was just a fluke anyway, yeah.
But you still paid him. You still paid him a big chunk of that. And that was the crazy part. It was on that podcast,
But before that, on the third, let me back up a little bit. I had this other guy work for me, and his name was Flip Carrico, okay? He was a photographer. And whenever Rick was going for his third race, this same time at Ronald Thompson said, will you take him out? I said, I will. We was going to steal his race car and take it to White's truck stop and park it. We went down there 3 nights.
White's in Lexington?
Yeah. Well, I went in there one day, and me and his daddy was good friends, and Rick, of course, wasn't there. And he had this big spool of keys for the whole place, the Dodge place and all. They owned the Dodge place, okay? And so, anyway, I had Flip to go down to the hardware down there and have every key duplicated. We had the whole set of keys, because
that's how to do
we
it.
went down there all these times, and after this race, and he didn't win and all, I went down there one day, and I said, well, okay. I said, I was going to make this thing bigger than what it really was, okay? But I never could pull it off. And he said, what are you talking about? I said, we was going to take Rick's car. He said, well, how do you think you could get Rick's car? I said, well, we have all your keys. He said, where'd you get them at? Yeah. I said, we had them made at the hardware down there. The guy was happy to make them for us. And,
brilliant.
Anyway,
that's a dirty trick, by the way, but I love it.
I was going to take his it was always up on the old Dodge truck that he hauled it on. I was going to take it all down to White's truck stop, park it in the back, and just leave it there and put a sign on bad transmission or something. Oh, yeah.
I've slept at that truck stop before in my tractor trailer over the years. I know exactly where he's talking about. Right off Exit 195 there in Lexington. Because Rick Mast is not from far down the road. And honestly, I'm going to send this show to Rick. I hope, Rick, if you're listening to this, please come on the show at some point in time. I think as far as race car drivers are concerned, when it comes to the Appalachian region, one of the best. You know what I mean? I mean, one of the best and most genuine. He has one of the best Dale Earnhardt stories of all time. He was talking about some weekend right when he got into NASCAR, right when he got his break and he started running. And Rick never won a NASCAR race, but he was really competitive over the years. It's really hard back then. Today, it seems like it's a little bit easier for anybody to win because the competition, They have centralized it so much where they're so particular about everything. Back in the day, it was all about the advantage you could find.
Yeah.
It was all about the little cheating you could do here, and it made the story so much better. But Rick was talking about, Earnhardt had wrecked him or whatever, and Earnhardt was the biggest thing in the world back then. Earnhardt had wrecked him, and Rick was pissed. He was pissed. He was going to go back and get him, and his owner was like, no, don't do this. Don't do this. It'll ruin you, blah, 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 whatever. He said, I guess the next week or whatever, Earnhardt came up to him at the next track and walked over to him and bent over and stuck his ass in the air and said, and Rick was just, what the hell are you doing? He said, go ahead. I know you want to kick it. Just do it. And he said, I just sat there and took aback. And he said, no, just get up, whatever. He said, man, I didn't mean to dump you last week. I know you want to kick me in the ass. But, that was Earnhardt, and that was Rick Mast, and that was the sport back then. And just to have those stories incorporated with you, I think that
we actually, he has said that after doing those 3 race deals with us, he said, if I can do that, I can do this. But to show you what a good driver he was, I'll say is one of the most awesome. He never got to show his true talents because he didn't have a promoter. That was his whole deal. He went to the Daytona 500 with less equipment, less money, less knowledge of that racing a big track, and was running third when Chris Economaki says, this guy Mike could pull this thing off.
Yeah. I mean, this is all local people. And for you, being involved in the racing business for so long, I mean, the legendary names that have come through there, and even just the local, Gerald Compton, Satch Worley, Paul Radford. I mean, for your money, who was the best out of all of them?
We had a lot of good talent, but I always have to go back to Paul Radford, okay? And I've got a great story about Paul Radford, okay? In 1980, in 79, in 1979, I got to the track in 78, 79, I'd lost $100,000 dealing with that thing, okay?
Shoot.
And we had, 21 late models and 28 modifieds there, but there wasn't no people there. And I told my brother, I said, man, we got to do something. I'm not going to lose that kind of money. I said, we've got this fence around there, the Willie Nelson fence. We had to fence the whole place. I said, we got this new chain link fence. We'll just put cows in here. We'll have cows. But I said, I think this will work if we just run the lower classes, not charge as much money, and people just come out and have fun. Drink beer, party, whatever they want to do. Man, we started, always run was the junk, what I call the junk classes. My top class was the fender bender. And that place absolutely filled up, okay? And so Paul Radford had the barbecue, Paul's barbecue.
Yep, up on 40.
And I had heard he'd been bad-mouthing me over there, okay? And I was mad at him because we'd always been good friends and still are. But anyway, while Paul shows up one night, okay, after I'd been racing for a while, he shows up, and he had all these old guys that used to hang out at the barbecue. He had made a bet with them. If I was still there in 6 weeks or whatever, okay, it was some period of time, that he would come up here and race, okay? It was a bet. And so Paul shows up one night, and I'm looking down there, and I said, what are you doing? I'm thinking, what are you doing here? I don't even like you no more, okay? That's what I was mad. We was full, and I was trying to keep everything rolling, okay? And he said, hey, here's the bottom steps. He said, come here a minute. And I said, I'm busy. He said, I need to talk to you. And so I walked back down to the steps, and he said, I want you to forgive me. I said, for what? And he said, well, I said you'd be out of business by now. And he said, man, you're doing really good, okay? And I said, well, okay, that's good. And I take off again. And I was going up the steps again. And he said, God, wait a minute, I'm not finished. Come back here. And I said, I'm busy. He said, no, I got one more thing I have to tell you. I go back down there and I said, what? He said, I'm racing tonight. I said, what are you racing? He said, any car. He bet them guys that he would race any car if I was still there, okay? And so,
oh my God.
He told me, he said, don't tell anybody I'm out there tonight, okay? Because them guys would have tore him up.
Ate him up.
Oh, they'd have went after him like, a piranha.
Did he win the race?
No. He got out of it, but he didn't get hurt or nothing. And nobody actually knew it, but that was a really good story with Paul.
Do you know what the IndyCar race is?
Seatbelt, helmet, no
Vaguely.
brakes.
Okay, so you've seen a destruction derby before where all the cars get in the middle of the bull ring and they're backing up and running into each other and last man standing, essentially. The IndyCar race is a genius adaptation of that, where instead of being in the bull ring, you're racing around the oval, but no holds bar. You can run people into the wall. You can wreck them. You win the race, and IndyCar seems to be the funnest race.
Oh,
Anybody out there.
Even today, if I run into anybody that came there in the 80s, they said, man, tell me one thing. Are you still running that old crazy race at the end? That's what they want to know. Nobody would leave that track until the IndyCar race.
Ryan.
In fact,
no, he's in like rookie class in stock 4, so not even one level above. It's
seatbelt helmet, no brains. But whatever you bring, you can race.
By the way, my brother has raced an IndyCar, so seatbelt helmet, no brains. Yep,
nobody's been disqualified for the ladder yet.
But you can race a school bus for the IndyCar race if you want to. Anything you want to put on the track.
Yeah, we had a school bus out there one time. Everybody's trying to take that school bus out.
Cement truck loaded.
I remember asking my dad, because when you're
still spinning.
When you're 9 years old, you're ignorant to the fact, and you're sitting there thinking, you got this IndyCar race, and there's in 1992, mind you, there's a big $1,000 prize for whoever wins it, and $1,000 in '92 for an old piece of junk that you paid $50 for is a huge payout.
Oh yeah.
And I always asked him, I was like, well, for that kind of money, why in the hell don't Six Pack get out here and run this race? He said because they would tear his shit to pieces. They would find him coming around and they would run him up, and it ain't worth it for him to go out there and do it. But for anybody that's got a fifth of Jack Daniels and $10 for an entry fee,
half of them are drunk.
Yeah.
Just a while back, well, when I say a while back, a few years back, Darrell Waltrip was doing the race and commentating the race at Martinsville. And some guy had been to somewhere in Carolina, and he's bragging about what a race this guy had. He said, you ain't never seen a race till you go up there and see Whitey Taylor's IndyCar race at Franklin County. And how he knew all about it was, the late models would run. I'd hold the late models until the last.
Next to the last, yeah.
And then the IndyCars would hit the track while we was interviewing him, and he had to stay in the infield till that thing ran, okay?
Yeah.
That's how he knew all about it.
Yeah, every time. But and I know this because my brother, Chris, love him to death. Back when I got back from Iraq the first year, after I got back, he raced an IndyCar race, and this is a great story in itself. I've told this a couple of times. But right before we went to Iraq, we had a guy in my unit. Never forget his name. It was Brandon, not special ed. Brandon, different guy. It was a black fellow from Martinsville, whatever. And we got called out. We only had 3 days. And he was like, man, can I leave my car, on your property, whatever? Well, I was like, yeah, sure. I don't, my mom don't care. I don't care. So we get back, and it was a Cadillac, like a 84, 85, 86 Cadillac, something like a big old boat of a car. And we got back home from overseas. Well, of course, this guy, he just bought him a new Cadillac. He had money. He didn't have a wife or anything. He just left it there and never showed back up. So my brother, let's just put this in an IndyCar race at Callaway. And the race he decided to do, I'll never forget it. I showed up. I went up there to watch him. Me and my buddy Cole, we went to the back stretch. I was looking for my truck that my brother drove up there that night. And I find it right there, right outside of turn 2.
Yeah.
And I go sit in that little section. I look down there, and there's my brother and his girlfriend at the time. He's sitting on the tailgate of my truck, has a bottle of Jack Daniels, and I watch him turn this bottle up and chug it almost all the way down.
Yeah.
Then he goes and gets in this car and races it for 25 laps. And he, I remember coming in the pits, the hood flew up on the car. He comes in the pits, he gets out, he jumps on the hood, he's clacking it down, he gets back in the car. All he's got is a seatbelt and a motorcycle helmet. I mean, but the best show of the night every time. It's a destruction derby on asphalt.
Yeah. That's what people want to see, though.
Oh yeah, it was exciting, and it kept people coming because they didn't know what was going to happen next. Okay.
And I did, and I, like I said, I see James Nagy, and I see a lot on his page, a lot of the things that are posted, and it's showing like lineups back in the day of all the drivers we mentioned and stuff. And then I come in the early '90s, and like I said, I mean, you go up there and you got the McGuires and the Six Pack, Dudley Lawhorn, Kenny Minner, guy rest his soul. You have all in Six Pack rest his soul.
The best
you have
drivers.
Some of these great drivers, and they're going there, and you're so spoiled.
Yeah.
You're so spoiled. And then it fell off.
Yeah.
I mean, like money.
And no, it was in the 90s, and the guys didn't have it. It really, what it really busted was when Obama was elected in 2008, it really bottomed out then.
The NASCAR, the racing world just.
Yeah, the whole racing world, yeah.
What was it?
It was just, well, gas went to $4, okay?
That was huge.
And it was just everything was against the independent person trying to race. Okay, but one night you're talking about the IndyCar race. One night I had 78 cars on the track. Okay,
Oh my
78.
3 wide from the flag stand all the way back to this second turn over there. Okay, they're 3 wide, and a big dumb mistake. The flagman started the race from a dead start. And these guys, they didn't even let off. When they went over and seen those cars on the bike, they just shot up in the air. They were stacked up everywhere. We like to never got that thing. I know when the race was over that night, 45 of those cars, that Sunday morning, I counted 45 of those cars were still out on the track.
You had to go pull them off.
Yeah, we had to pull them off. And that's back, they wasn't paying anything for junk or anything like that. Yeah.
So all the years at the Speedway, what is your biggest and best memory? What is the one thing you look back on and you like talking about more than anything else? What's the one night, the one event? You know, aside from the ones we've talked about Willie, we've talked about Rick Mast and stuff like that. Yeah. Aside from those, was there a big night that just sticks out for you?
Well, you know, one of the things I really liked was, and not a lot of racing people liked it, but I really liked it, was our Buck Wild racing show. Okay.
They have talked about that before. Yeah. And, it was great from what I hear.
Yeah. Well, people didn't understand. There was nothing staged. That thing was just as it went down.
That's what Langley said on our show. He said it was all legit.
It was just awesome. I know Bobby Allison, they were inducting him into the Hall of Fame in Charlotte, and he comes out, and I'm standing up there in line watching all the racers come out, and he said, "Whitey, keep that Buck Wild rolling." We watch that all times. We just keep on watching it during the week. And also Bubba Wallace was with him. And he said, "Man, me and my crew, we watch that thing over and over and over and over." Yeah.
Now, see, people don't know this. Bubba Wallace won his first big race at Franklin County Speedway.
Yeah.
You know, he's a controversial NASCAR driver these days. Because he's only black or half black, whatever he is. You know, of course, you sent the 17 FBI agents down there to investigate a pull rope.
Oh yeah,
which was a
hoax.
Yeah. The man, that's a whole different. But he did. Bubba Wallace won one of his first big races up here at Franklin County Speedway, and that show, Langley talked about that too. He said, "Man, it was a hit." He said it was a hit. He said it was. I haven't had a chance to go back and watch a lot of them. I watched a few of them, but it really was. You're bored, Simon, go up on YouTube and look that up and watch some of those episodes. It's
good,
phenomenal.
And that was his first win at Franklin County.
Well, I mean, Bubba back in. Well, he was talking about just Bubba watching that show he was talking about. It was like an internet show.
He never was on it, but I had Jeb Burton came up one evening and it just poured down the rain that day, and I had to cancel the race. And he said, "Oh man, damn, I've been wanting to get on Buck Wild all my life."
Really?
Yeah.
Jeb, he just recently got another big win, didn't he, here at Talladega or something here? And I mean, that's a South Boston family. We're trying to root for them.
He told me, he said, "Man, I've been wanting to get on Buck Wild." He said, "That's the greatest show."
It was. It kind of resembled the Madhouse, I guess. What everybody says in the Madhouse now was a reality show that actually came out on big time TV.
Yeah,
it was on. I don't know if it was on NBC or Discovery, whatever it was.
Yeah, but we almost sold that thing. It was bad timing because of the economy and everything. But we almost sold that to Me TV.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I know it was a big deal.
10,000 a pop to
Really?
Let them film it. Yeah.
So do you think Callaway has a future?
Sure. Yeah. But you know what?
But they've held on this long. There's other tracks right around here that are closing down day by day. I just saw Langley posted that Volunteer Speedway in Tennessee just closed down. But all these racetracks are closing down. People give Callaway a lot of hell for the amenities. They say it needs to be upgraded. They want this and this happening, but somehow it
does.
It's still.
But Motor Mile came into play in the 90s, and of course they took half, or 89. They took half of our crowd, half of our cars, and half of my staff. Okay, but anyway, that's a whole different story.
And they put them on TV too. Because I remember back in the early to mid 90s, the big race they would have, WDBJ would host it.
TV7 helped them a lot.
Huge
of course,
deal.
the Roanoke Times, unless it was something controversial, they would never cover my races, but they'd go up there and cover their races, okay? And I had more crowds than they ever had, okay?
Yeah.
Motor Mile, let's see, let's keep the train of thought going here. We was talking. Oh, the only way that racing, it's got to go back to exactly what I did in 1980. That's the only way you can bring anything back. Okay, get away from late models, get away from all this other individual classes and all
Expensive
this
stuff.
BS, and you just come back. You got to come back with an IndyCar race. You got to come back with a stock 4 race, and then they got the bootleggers now. That's the only 3 classes you need. He's sitting there trying to run 10 cars with 5 cars in each class. That's crazy. If I had 5 cars in each class, I'd put them all out there in one race, and we'd have one race a night, send them home. But you got to get it back to where it's not a race. It's an event. I never did promise anybody a good race. I promised them 3 good fights a night, and I never had to give anybody their money back.
Well, what did they say about always a good racing promoter? They said, if you get in a fight with another driver, if you're a driver and you get in a fight, in the infield somewhere, then I'm going to fine you $100. If you get in a fight on the front stretch in front of all the fans, I'm going to pay you $100.
Oh yeah, I paid him. Oh yeah, I paid him. If a guy would throw his helmet across the track at somebody, I paid him. Yeah, many times.
Showbiz.
But it's show. It's a show.
Of course it is.
And it's got to see nobody. If they see me today, okay, any of those guys that came in the '80s, I'm talking about the race fans, and there was thousands of them. We had more people coming in that racetrack. We had 7,641 seats up there, concrete. There was more people standing than there was sitting. Okay.
Yeah.
In fact, I've
seen the pictures.
One night I had a guy to say, "Whitey, I don't expect to get a seat here, but I couldn't even see the racetrack tonight." I said, "All right, how many people did you have with you?" He said, 8. I said, "Here's your money back, and here's 8 tickets. Get here earlier next week." Yeah. But, yeah.
That's promotion.
Yeah, and everybody, what I was going to tell you was, when I see somebody that came there in the 80s, they've never asked me, is the late model still racing? They asked me, is that old crazy class, you still got that? We love that. I had 2 doctors from Roanoke Memorial. They said, we just wanted you to know that we're 2 surgeons from Roanoke Memorial. We think this race is insane, but we love it so much we come every Saturday just to see the IndyCar race.
Well, probably because on Sunday they're in there probably repairing a few of the arms. Yeah. I mean, it's good
Their future
business.
customers.
It's good business for them. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I mean, Franklin County used to have, where we are at has such a great reputation. I mean, bittersweet reputation, because there's a lot of people out there that talk a lot of crap about you and say you held the money from them and you did this and you did.
It's all BS, and it doesn't matter. Here's the thing about it is, most people don't have the balls to do what I will do. Okay, they think about it, talk about it, but they never do it. I put it into action. If I think about it, it doesn't matter what I'm thinking about. I just go and do it. Okay, and I don't think twice about it.
That's the kind of person I like. You know what I mean?
Get it done.
I want to know too. This is a little off topic from the racing too. The fighter jet that crashed in Callaway.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
What do you remember about that? Because if I recall, you were the first person at the news interview, didn't you?
Yeah.
Weren't you the first? Because you saw it go down.
Yeah.
What happened with that? Because I think everybody here.
I got to tell you this first. There's a guy up there. He still won't speak to me now. He actually was over there first to see them guys. But what happened was, I had been to a board of supervisors meeting that day about some crap that they was talking about. And anyway, I had left and came back, and I had this old boy working for me. And I was pointed, when I come back up on the hill there, I was pointed this way, right toward where those jets came across in sight, okay? And they was probably up past Blacksburg or somewhere when I seen them in the air, okay? And anyway, he's saying something, and they make this big loud noise, and I seen a big silver piece come off of one of them and coming down. Okay,
so you watched it.
Yeah, I watched it. I said, stop, and I hollered for my wife and kids, get out here! Something big's going to happen! Hurry, come here, hurry! And here comes this fighter jet, and that joker comes right down in front of me, eye level across from the speedway, and I'm looking right at him, and he pulls that thing, and he goes straight up like his here, and it goes pop, pop. They eject, and that thing goes over. And I thought it went in that there's a subdivision that somebody just put over there. I was trying to think of the name of it. Anyway, I thought it went over there.
Buzzard Rock.
Huh?
Buzzard Rock.
No, it's not Buzzard Rock. It's right on the Callaway Road there, going over Old Ford's going over to.
I know it's that. Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was subdivision. But anyway, I told him, I said, be quiet a minute. He's trying to talk to him. I said, hang on. I'm watching them come down. I said, hang on a minute. We're going to go straight to them. Hang on. I said, they're on that old farm. It's for sale. And so we jump in the van. We take off over there. But there was this other guy, and I'm trying to think of his name. He lives up there. And he still has it in for me because I didn't give him any of the glory about the whole thing. But they wanted to talk to me anyway. They didn't want to talk to him. He was actually the first person that went over there, by the way. But it does all that stuff. We get over there, okay, to the old farm. And here's this parachute up in this big walnut tree. I said, I'm going to get that parachute, man. That guy's hung up in there somewhere. And so we jump out. He's laying over there on the grass. And he said, I'm over here. So we run over there. And he said, run around there and see if you can find my buddy. And I said, where'd he go? And he said, just follow the flare. He said, look for the smoke. Those things were so equipped. A boat, a rubber raft, inflated while it was coming down in the air. And they had a flare on that seat that they was on, that they ejected in. And that flare helps them find the people, okay? And so he said, run over and get my buddy. So we went over and we found him, brought him back. And he called him Rusty. So I thought his name was Rusty. It was a joke, inside joke. And so anyway, they asked me, did you get the guy's name? I told him, well, wait a minute. He said he's trying to talk to his commander who was on a ship in Raleigh, North Carolina, okay, on the water down there somewhere. And he's trying to talk to him. He said, hang on, has anybody got a cell phone? So we got that old boy's cell phone. Mine was not charged up. We got that old boy's cell phone. He used it, but he was trying to use some old antiquated leather-cased radio like this here, talking to him. So he used that cell phone. He said, 5,700 feet, sir, because he asked me how high he was flying, okay? What happened was, the whole deal was, and the reason he called him Rusty, they've been up there playing around. It's all 22, 23 years old. They've been up there playing around, and they had done this before. They barrel rolled together, and one of them touched the other one. That's why he called that pilot Rusty, okay? I later found out. But anyway, I come back to my house, and I was going to call, I was calling TV7, and because somehow I forgot how they had got in touch, wanted me to call them. So Keith Humphrey says, okay, we got Lieutenant so-and-so from the Franklin County Sheriff's Department on the line. It's on my phone. I said, hey, Keith, this is Whitey. He said, oh, my gosh, this is even better. He said, this is better. This is the guy that eyewitnessed all this. This is the real deal here. Whitey, tell us all about it. So I went there, and then I went to TV 10, and then I went to TV 13, okay? All of them 6 o'clock news, bam, bam, bam. And anyway, well.
You got the spread.
That night, the news station from Raleigh had made their way up here, and they interviewed me live for the news that night there, okay? This thing was a $31 million fighter plane, okay? And it had hit over there close to a friend of mine's house. He worked at Sam's Club, okay? In fact, the pilot, I said, man, I hope that thing didn't go down that subdivision of Clay Banks. He didn't go down over in Clay Banks. He said, no, it didn't go no subdivision. It went by beside this old guy's house. He said, I put it over there. And he did. He had put it probably 200 yards from this guy's house, okay? And anyway, the engine off of that thing, some guy's down there over the hill. It's a mobile home down there. He's down there waxing his car, and this big motor goes right beside his head and across the road, okay? But all these parts, they come in here and they quarantine.
They said they come to some families close by and said, get out of your house for about a week, and they made them leave.
Yeah, they closed off all the roads and everything. But the funny thing was the sheriff's. I called the sheriff's department because all these ambulances run around everywhere and stuff, and they said this and that. And I said, hey, this guy's over here on the old farm. I said, well, you got to identify yourself, Whitey, because we got thousands of calls. And I forgot exactly what they asked me. And I said, well, bullshit. He's over here. I've got him. He's fine. The other guy's fine. And I said, we're on this farm over here. So they finally showed up. I didn't take anything off that old jet, and I'm sure am glad I didn't touch anything because they would have put me in jail.
No kidding.
Oh, yeah.
Now that went down between Woodwinds Road and Old Forge.
Yeah.
Because that was the previous owners of our house, John Butcher and Jerry Butcher.
Huh.
And they saw it go down too.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. But I remember this guy, but I don't remember his name, that he worked at Sam's Club. But And then they came and cleaned up a bunch, but they didn't really clean it up. And he said, I guess I'm going to have to get you involved to get this place cleaned back up, Whitey.
Well, yeah, because they said, I think, I don't know if the planes had any kind of munitions attached to them, and I think that was a big deal because they thought they might have had.
Yeah,
at some point in time, the rumor was they had nuclear munitions on the planes,
spread by NBC, no doubt.
Yeah, but either way, it just that was a lot of the big question was
I think they were more concerned about the electronics packages on there.
Probably, but I think that's why they initially
next
claimed
thing you
nuclear to scare the shit out of people so people wouldn't show up. And because people around here obviously are going to be curious about it, and the more people they have standing outside looking at it.
Those roads were full of people just wanting it. After the news, we went on the news and all, everybody that had a car came up that way.
Yeah, because I will never forget it because this happened not long after I got back from Iraq. So this was probably in 2004. And because I'd gotten back and we were riding motorcycles, me and some of my buddies down towards the dam at Smith Mountain. We were riding all the way down there, and I'll never forget a phone call that said a military jet had just crashed in Callaway. And my first reaction was, my stomach come up because I'm sitting there thinking, like a C-130 or something where people are dead. You know what I mean? Like a transport plane or something. And then eventually it come back out there was a fighter jet, and I was like, well, he probably ejected in time then and stuff. And then the story starts coming out and stuff, and then you hear, first person on the scene was Whitey Taylor. So you got to listen to it. You have to listen to it at that point in time and find out what the hell really happened.
Some guy in California said he's walking down the street somewhere in San Francisco or something. He looks down at the newspaper. He says, "Oh, hell no. Not Whitey Taylor." He said he grabbed that paper and see what I'd done. He said he's going to ruin our community.
But you had not long before that, because and this is all coming back to me now. This was post Iraq, but previous to my deployment to Iraq, and this was probably in. Let's see, my second year of college was 2001. The towers come down in September, and I want to say it was either September or October of that same year. ESPN came and did a massive article on you.
Oh, yeah.
ESPN, the magazine, back when it was massively big.
Now, how that came about was Joe Gibbs and Bobby Labonte was in ESPN's office, and they said, "What is the wildest track you've ever been to in your life?"
By the way, real quick, Bobby Labonte has been on this show before. Go back and search and listen to the episode. It was a phenomenal podcast, by the way, but go on.
And both of them at the same time said Franklin County Speedway, okay? That guy said, "Hey, get 2 tickets. You guys get on down there, see what's going on down there."
There you go.
And here they come, the wildest track in America.
That was the article. It really was. I had that magazine. I don't know. I hope it's still at my house somewhere.
Should be in a picture frame somewhere.
I hope it's. I bought 2 or 3 of them. I hope it's still at my parents' house.
I've got some magazines somewhere.
If you got an extra one, I would love to have one. Buy one from you.
I had 2 or 3 boxes. I don't know where I've done with them.
Because, like I said, I bought 2 or 3 copies of it because Franklin County Speedway was in ESPN, the magazine, wildest track in America. They did a whole huge article on it, and it was just a magnificent piece. I remember I got it at the house, and I hope I still have it somewhere.
See, before that, backing up a little bit, Bobby Labonte started at Franklin County Speedway. Him and Terry was a Winston champion. I'll never forget it. And he's down there on the back of a trailer. Bobby's practicing on, and Terry's down there like it's here. And I felt sorry for him because nobody's talking to him. They don't even know who he is, okay? And so I go down and talk to him when he was down there, because he's not a controversial figure. He's shy as around. He was sort of a shy type of guy anyway. But anyway, I go down and talk to him. But Bobby started out there. And then we had Joe Gibbs brought JD up there. Is JD the one that passed away?
I think so.
JD up there. And my deal with Joe Gibbs was, he told me, he said, me and my wife will be here a lot. But he said, only if you don't promote, we're here. Okay. He said, I'm just here to see my son race.
Do you know who Joe Gibbs is, Simon?
No idea.
Okay. In the late 80s, early 90s, he was the head football coach of the Washington Redskins, won 3 Super Bowls with them.
He's winning this coat.
One great guy. And then in the early 90s, he moved over, retired from coaching, started a NASCAR team. Yeah. And now to this day, he is probably one of the most successful NASCAR teams in the history of the sport. He's won multiple championships. Great drivers. Bobby Labonte was one of those drivers at the time. So You're talking about a massively big name.
Yeah, in those times, anybody that had a grandson or somebody they wanted to groom for racing, they brought them to Franklin County Speedway to get them started.
Yeah.
They didn't go to Hickory. They didn't go to all these other places they could have went. They wanted to be at Franklin County Speedway.
What is it about Franklin County that drew all those?
It's just Bobby Allison. One time he won a race up there, and Davey was over there, and Davey was going. I was at the pit gate, and Davey's going up to the stairs to the VIP lounge, and he said, "Son, he said, I told you this is the best track that you'll ever run on." He said, "I love this place. It's just a challenge." He said it's the challenge of the track challenges you. Okay, you ain't got to only race the races, you got to race the track. And he said, "I just love this place." And he said, "See there, you should have brought your car." Yeah.
And Simon, I know once again you're confused over here because we're not talking about cricket or soccer, but Bobby Allison is
football.
Bobby Allison is one of the biggest names that
he's a legend.
Beside Richard Petty, the Allison name is probably second or third behind them. I mean, you're talking about Bobby and Donnie, and then down to Davey, who was Davey Allison probably could end up being one of the greatest drivers in NASCAR history. Unfortunately, lost his life in a helicopter crash in '93 when he's only 32 years old.
Right.
But you're talking about the biggest names in the sport coming to Franklin County.
Yeah, they were there
and honing their skills at that rate, and even to this day.
Oh, yeah.
Because we've done a lot of shows, previous to when you joined us full time. We did a lot of shows with the Smart Modified Tour, which we're going to do more of because I love Chris Williams. I love what he does. I love what he's done with the Modifieds because the Modifieds, in my opinion, are the best show.
Oh, by far. See,
that
best
track, show.
Franklin County was built for the Modifieds.
For the Modifieds.
That's what Wilton built the track, but he built it for the Modifieds. But, my deal with Joe Gibbs, okay, not to tell anybody. This old girl, she said, Whitey. She said, Whitey, I think I seen Joe Gibbs over there, right around the corner down there. I said, "You've been drinking too much." I just kept walking. I'll never forget it. Yeah.
But I know, we from the inception of this show, we've went and we recorded a show for the Smart Mods when they came to Callaway, and it was a phenomenal race. Great job. I love what Chris is doing. We also went and did a show for the Cars Tour that came there a few months later, and the Cars Tour is doing phenomenal things for late model racing, and I'm glad that they continue to come back to Frank. Now the Cars Tour is a little bit different. They have expanded to the point to where they might come to Frank County every other year, but they do that with a lot of tracks. But the Smart Mods, they come here every year, and that is one of the best shows you're going to find because the Modifieds, they're faster. You go to Martinsville Speedway and you think the NASCAR, as the big dogs there, the Modifieds are turning faster laps. They are faster. They're more competitive. And honestly, they're probably catch a lot of flack for this, but they're better drivers because when you're racing the NASCARs and the late models and the trucks, you can beat and bang through those turns. You can do all this kind of stuff, sheet metal damage. Modifieds are open wheels. You're touching with somebody else. You're pretty much done.
Game over.
Oh, yeah.
You have to stay precise. So the last modified race at Martinsville with Corey LaJoy, who ended up, and of course, Corey LaJoy, he's a NASCAR driver Sunday, week in and week out. He's a former guest on this show. He ended up winning the modified race and about took out half the field doing it and screwed up some championship points competitors because he's not a championship points contender. He was just a NASCAR ringer in for the weekend, but they put on a phenomenal. The modifieds, hands down, look, keep in touch with the Smart Modified Tour. Check out Chris Williams and those guys doing wonderful things. But
the modifieds is by far. I had this old guy, Midcalf, who used to live up on 40. He had an old race car and all. And he'd come up there and he said, "Whitey, come here a minute." I said, "What you need?" He said, "I'd rather hear these boys unload than I would hear all that other junk run." He loved those modifieds, man.
I mean, they are. And Simon, we didn't make it this year. And the reason we didn't make it this year was because that week was our Spike Cohen week. And unfortunately, that Friday night, and that's like, God, why didn't they run the race on Saturday this year? But they didn't get a chance to do it. We didn't get a chance to make it. But next go round or this fall, we're going to go to Martinsville. We're going to go to the modified race. I want you to see that. It is something to behold. The modified race and the late model race at Martinsville, both great, and both divisions at Franklin County Speedway are something to behold as well. The modifieds at Franklin County.
That was my first NASCAR track.
Something else. Yeah,
was Martinsville. And I ran into, unfortunately, Blueberry Moonshine.
Yeah.
The rest is history.
We're going to do it again here this fall. We're going to go doing a couple of those races.
Yeah.
We're going to hopefully get Chris Hodges, the guy we had on the show a few weeks ago from Floyd Fest. He's never been to a race before. We're going to hopefully take him down to Martinsville with us this year and have a good time for it. But, we're going to go ahead and get probably go ahead and end the show here pretty quickly for a couple of reasons. Number one, I got to piss like a Russian racehorse. But number two, we've been there for a couple hours now, and I want to leave y'all with hanging more because I want to come back. Whitey, I'd love to do this show again at some point in time, bring you back on and talk to you. But before we get off here, just one last thing. I mean, like, you catch a lot of shit around here, and some people might think it's justified. Some people might think it's unjustified for the way you operate. Yeah. I personally happen to be a fan because I like people who just step up and say, kiss my ass, I'm going to do it my way. But, for all the haters out there, is there anything you'd like to address to them while you have an opportunity to do it?
You know what? They're a dime a dozen. Most of those people are just jealous of what I will do, okay? And I don't really pay any attention to them. I actually enjoy the controversy, okay? And that's that's what Trump has done so well. He's enjoying all this bad publicity they think's bad because he took in $32 million right after all the bad publicity, okay? So, and it always filled my stands when I want them to be talking about me, okay? I want these people. Oh, by the way, you're talking about the people that don't like his place. One day you remember when gas first, they started saying they might ration it and it jumped up?
Yeah.
First time. Well, this new Mercedes pulls in, and I'm out there I'm a storyteller. I was telling my stories to these three guys. This new Mercedes pulls in out there, and this lady said, who owns this place? And I'll just keep talking to them a few minutes, and she's like, who owns this place? It's got a brand new Mercedes, all right? And I said, I do. Why? And she said, have you ever looked at all them signs and them flags up there? I said, every day. And she said, you're ruining our little town.
I've heard that.
And I said,
I've heard it.
I sat back a second and I said, she's still sitting out there, okay? I said, well, you can do something about it. And she said, she's out the window with a smile. She said, what? I said, move the hell away.
There you go.
Man, she took off out the parking lot.
Okay, I got one more before we get out of here. I got 1 minute. I know this is going to tickle Simon Pink, so I have to ask it.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say his name because he made this post publicly on Facebook. And if you're going to make this post publicly, then I'm going to say your name. Do you know who Joe Stanley is?
Oh, he's the biggest idiot in Franklin County. I know who he is.
He made a post. Yeah. This might have been 6 or 8 months ago, but he said that you pulled up to him at a stoplight here in Boones Mill or something when he was on his way to Roanoke and screamed out the window at him and said, move out of your mama's basement or something like that.
His daddy's maybe.
Yeah.
He's still living with his daddy. Yeah.
And the only reason I bring it up is because he made the personal post against him. I'm just curious of what you did to get up in his crawl.
Oh, no. He's another liberal idiot, okay? And he's the worst in Franklin County. He's nobody, okay? I love him come out. He's so stupid, okay?
And you know what? I would not have brought this up otherwise, but we had Joe on the show back in November, October, when we were doing a lot of the local stuff, local campaign and stuff, and he came on as a campaign manager of Holland.
You must have hit.
Well, I think he'll deny that.
Huh?
I think he'll deny that.
He can deny all he wants to, but he was on the
yeah.
fucking show. Sorry for using the F word, people. He was on the damn show. So he comes on this show and any criticisms we had of the town, anything we were doing, he was all about. But then when the election changes and the new results come in, and now all of a sudden we're criticizing the new regime, which he's a part of, all of a sudden we're a bunch of race baiting,
slack jaws
who we were inciting violence because we had political gain to make in this town. Like I've only said 100 times I'd never run for office because of the den of vipers. Simon has mentioned that, but apparently we did this show. And, we were using racially tinged language. By the way, the racially tinged language was by a black farmer. Yeah. He didn't know that ahead. But, anyway, I just think it's funny.
I'm not surprised that Joe didn't know it. The reason he's so mad about me saying he lived in his daddy's basement, it's because it's true. Okay. People, when you hit them with the truth, they can't take it, okay?
Well, I'm just saying
and
this because
he's still there. Still there.
Because he posted all this on Facebook, I had to bring it up. This is public, knowledge. And you know what I mean? Like, say what you want to, whatever. I don't care. when you come out and say we're using racially tinged language and we're saying things that are only for political gain, kiss my happy ass, because we don't want to be a part of your, as Simon has so eloquently said before, den of vipers. We're just calling you out for what you are. So to come in here and be favorable to us when we're calling out the harvester and then turn around and call us a bunch of race agitators because we oppose a $5 million thing, kiss my happy ass. Kiss my happy ass. And I just thought it was so funny that when he posted that and you had said that to him, it tickled me pink.
It's true.
It tickled me pink.
I mean, and the thing with Joe, and he has absolutely every right to speak his mind, as do we. But when you deny that you're a mouthpiece for the puppet show that's going on, I call bullshit.
Yeah.
And, hey, if the truth hurts, this ain't my problem.
Well, I don't have no, I disagree with him vehemently on his politics, but at least I was decent enough to offer the olive branch and say, hey, come on and speak your mind, speak your piece. We was always cordial. I was never rude. I was never disrespectful. And then for you to go on the internet and make these presumptions that we're a bunch of, racist agitators, it couldn't be farther from the truth.
Well, that's the narrative.
It couldn't be.
That's the narrative you're always going to get from progressives.
I just, you know what I mean? So
Well,
for
he
this.
and Big Joe have a lot in common.
Yeah.
He's in his daddy's basement. And Big Joe stays in the basement.
Oh, touche.
Yeah.
All right, so for that, we're going to go ahead and get off here. I just wanted to say real quick before we go, big thanks to Rocky Mountain Burger Company. They're a huge supporter of this show. Brian right there across from the Harvester, he does a lot for us. He's one of our biggest sponsors, one of our biggest supporters. Major thanks to him. Patreon.com/GetOnTap. You can go there for subscriber-only content. You get our shows that me and Simon do on the side that nobody else can get, and you get all these shows like this one a little bit early.
Uncensored ranting.
Yeah, Patreon.com/GetOnTap, and find us everywhere else. Thank you so much, Whitey, for coming on here. I'd like to get you on here again at some point in time.
We'll do it.
So,
the man, the myth, the legend.
The legend.
Yeah.
So, Simon, thank you so very much. Whitey,
Yeah.
we'll catch you the next time. People, we'll see you next time.
Stop hating, you bitches.
Yeah.